little bit of extra intro with no sound. You can hear me now, I know you can. Hello and welcome to the Bavaria Series Party, everyone. I can explain exactly why the sound didn't show up, and it's a really stupid thing. Hello everyone. Hello. Yeah, it's working. Oh, I fixed it. Anyway. What I was saying, or what I was trying to say when my mic was inaudible, was you hear the music behind us, right? Well, what I actually intended was for that to start the stream and for it to build up, but you didn't hear it. But that's the Blue Danube Waltz, or Blau Danube, or whatever it's called in German. When you start watching the Bavaria series, this is the first piece of music that you hear opening it. And it is also the first piece of music in the Bavaria series official soundtrack playlist, which I have created. Now, creating a playlist of the music in the series, that's something that people have requested for me to do for ages in past series, but being a lazy bastard apparently, I never do it. I never make the playlist, and I could still do it for past series, maybe. But I've finally done it. I've done it for the Bavaria series. The playlist is here. I'm going to have it playing in the background of this stream. And it is of course linked in the description. It's in the description if you want it. It's an unlisted playlist. So when you get the link for that, save it, add it, create your own playlist or something, whatever you want to do, it's there. It's not absolutely every single piece of music in the entire series. I kept some out that I thought were a bit not necessary. There was a lot of repeated music from the Three Kingdoms Total War soundtrack for the Asian stuff that was, I thought, okay, well, maybe just a couple of them to represent the Asian Hugbox stuff. And not all of the music is exactly the same performance or pieces is actually in the series. Some of it might be different, but it's the same piece of music, just a different performance for copyright reasons. So there you go, that's the first thing that I wanted to announce, and it's part of the party here. And also just hello to everyone in chat, of course, welcome. There's going to be many more things that we'll talk about on this stream. I'm looking forward to really getting into it. Yeah, as for doing it with previous series, you know, one of the things was I thought, well, I do put the music in every video, in the description of the video. So I list all of it by name. And I thought, well, if people really wanted to have the playlist and find all the music, they just look in the description, look up the music. Maybe they could even make their own playlist. I kind of thought that, had that sort of mindset. Guys, everyone in the chat is asking the questions that I'm going to come on to and answer throughout the stream, okay? We're going to get there. If you do have a question that you really want answered separately from the general discussion we're going to have, you can of course use a super chat and I will answer them, maybe not at the time you give them, but I'll find a moment to answer them. So you're saying you're at Spudgun Official, the Discord link is not working. Well, let me see, which link is it that's in this stream? Is it? Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that link. I wouldn't know why it's not working. Go and figure it out. So, many of the questions, such as, you know, what's next, I'm going to get onto that. But yeah, hello to everyone in the chat. Hot Local Single and everyone, and Biller and Swackle. Specific hellos to the channel members. You can of course join that. You know, I've advertised the channel membership in every bloody episode of Bavaria since about halfway through it, but people don't tend to join the channel membership off of videos, which is strange. They only really join it on streams. So here we are on a stream. I'm winking. Anyway. And if you can't super chat or you can't join the membership, that's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. People who can, I would appreciate it. Now, so that's the music playlist is there. It's in the description. You're all going to get it, right? So, and it's also roughly in the order in which the music appears. I went through the entire series, picked out the music. So it's in the order in which it appears in the series. So There's a lot of pieces, obviously, that get used in the first few episodes that will go on to be repeating many of the episodes throughout the entire series. So you get them earlier in the playlist, and then that's it. You get them once. I suppose we could talk about the music if you want while we're on this topic. I mean, I think I did a good job on the music. I found some interesting and varied pieces, and even later into the series I was still introducing newer pieces now and again that weren't in it before. For example, I don't know if anyone noticed this, but one of the funny ones, or one of the things that one of the pieces of music that I introduced later that I thought was good and appropriate was, now which part was it specifically? It must have been, hold on. Here's the playlist. I've put my Chrome window up there. It looks like the crowd is spectating on this, right? It kind of looks like that. Anyway, let me get rid of the intro stuff as well. Which episode would it be where I introduced this? When I got the Rhineland transfer from Burgundy. Which episode was that? Must be part 21. So in part 21 I introduced a piece called the Rhenish Symphony. Can't remember who it was by. It's in the description. So I introduced when the Rhineland transfer happened, and I got the Rhineland. And this, oh god, this march is really loud. That's one of the things about it. The Badenweiler march is the second piece in the soundtrack, and it's really loud. I had to edit it so quiet. I had to put the sound down by like 25 decibels when I used it in the videos. So yeah, when I got the Rhineland, I introduced the Rhenish Symphony. You know, fun little fact. Fun little facts. Thank you for the super chat, DLW. We'll come back to that question. I'll come back to a sort of question like that later. So another thing we have, and I can't really display this on the stream for reasons, is the Bavaria Awards. So it's actually in the pinned comment in the chat, and it's also in the description, the Bavaria Awards. Laughing Cavalier, what? Mustache Man's favourite march apparently. I don't know, mate. The way I got all the marches that I used in the series, and there's like 3 military marches I used, the way I found them was just looking up. Then I don't know if I needed to go to this level of detail, but I looked for marches composed by Bavarians, or Bavarian marches using the Bavarian army, or Bavarian regiments within the German Imperial Army, right? And the Badenweiler March, and also we had there was one called like the Tyrol Schützen March or something like that, which is, I guess, Tyrol, part of Austria. Can't remember. Those are some thingies. And thank you, Mr. Wisconsin, for the $2 super chat. Now, what was I going to talk about next? It was something to do with the music.
Love your videos, Spudgun. Greetings from Wisconsin.
You should have gone for the Napoleonic Bavarian marches. Quite well. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't. I was looking. I think what it was is I also looked for the time period. I looked for stuff written in the later 19th century as well. Of course, I was careful. I didn't use anything that's notably intertwined with the 1930s. I didn't go that far. I was looking for stuff well within the Empire period, before that maybe a little bit. We did get a lot of Wagner, of course. I mean, you can't make a Bavaria series and not use lots of Wagner. Ride of the Valkyries was just the perfect music for when a war's about to start and when things are getting exciting. Oh my god, it was perfect just to bring that in. So I wanted to ask something. This was never really brought up in comments or anything, but a bit of feedback. And yeah, by the way, go and vote in the Bavaria Awards. What's the next song in the playlist? Let's see. Oh, it's the Tannhäuser Overture, I think it's how you pronounce it. That's the next one. So, what did you think on the music usage in the series? Did you find that any music was too repetitive? I used too much? I'm always concerned about that when I'm editing. I want to try and cut a fine line between having recognizable pieces that are associated with certain plot lines and certain characters, countries and things happening and capturing the mood. But I also don't want to overuse music. But sometimes I find that even if I've used a bit of music loads already, I think, oh, well, this one would go perfectly here, so I put it in again anyway. Like, the Blue Danube Waltz goes so well. I used the Blue Danube Waltz so many times previously, whenever Bavaria comes up. Remember the little Bavaria that could, with Fat Guy, and used it so many other times as well. It's perfect because it's the Danube. Obviously, it's the river, the Danubian Confederation. So it's perfect. So yeah, saying the music definitely got too repetitive. I didn't like the music choice in the later episodes. Well, you're just one guy, and everyone else is saying that it's fine. So yeah, Tannhauser in particular used very well. I didn't use the Tannhauser very much. I used it for very, very special moments. And of course I brought it back for the grand finale for winning the naval battle. Spoilers. By the way, if you're stumbling upon this stream, either live now or coming back to watch it later, and you haven't watched the series yet, I would recommend going and watching the Bavaria series first. More diversity attracts for India, China, Ethiopia, Grand Columbia. Yeah, that's maybe that's a good point. I think I'm less willing to put effort into a big variety of music for things like that because I'm focusing on Germany, I'm focusing on Bavaria, I'm focusing on the stuff from my own country and the themes of the series. So when, say, Grand Columbia shows up, I'll just put in the Grand Colombian Civ music, you know. Or when the Asians come up, I'll put a bit of Three Kingdoms Total War soundtrack. If I were to ever play any of those countries myself, if I were to play Japan, or if I were to play... Oh, here, the music's about to drop. Oh, the beat dropped. But anyway, when I play those countries, I will definitely look into way more music for them. But when they're just a side thing, I tend to just kind of be a bit more repetitive. Like the song at the end of the video when the analysis of a war that hasn't ended yet happens, that ominous tune. Oppressive Gloom by Kevin MacLeod. That's in the playlist. Oppressive Gloom. It's a good song. It's just really good for building up I used it, to be honest, I got to the point where I just used that for the war analysis all the time. Oppressive Gloom. That just became the war analysis song. Also, thank you so much, Catalyst, for the 1999 super chat. Really appreciate it, buddy. Glad to see you. Hope you're doing good.
Moved back from Canada, so can finally do this.
But, you know, as for music being repetitive, if you do find that, look, it's, you know, it's just the way it's going to be. I reuse music in order to capture the things that are going on. I don't just, like, in earlier series, I just dropped music in and let it be. Even if it didn't fit the mood, I just kind of put in a song and let it play out entirely. But later, as I've developed, I've used music differently, or started to use it to really capture moments. And I've edited the video to go along with the beats of the music a lot more. So yeah. Best music used from you was probably the Aragon universe. Oh, okay. By the way, mentioning the Aragon universe brings me onto something. And I guess also I just want to point out before I move on that there's a couple extra things in the description. I've dropped the save, the 1929 save. Let me just load it up myself in Victoria 2 now. I dropped the 1929 save that ended the series in the description, and the mod that we played with is also in the description. So you can go in and look at the end of Bavaria yourself. Maybe I'll drop a folder with all the saves so you can look through the campaign at some point later. But for now, just the ending one. And thank you, Catalyst, again, another super chat. Thank you for that. About the music, German Overture. Oh yeah, actually, I see why Catalyst is sending that. Catalyst is the one who suggested that. For God's sake, I forgot. Good thing you're here for me to point that out. Credit to Catalyst for suggesting Brahms. What was it? Which one was it specifically? Old Spud would just spam Battle on the Ice. I don't think I used that ever before part 18. of the Bavaria series. But I did just spam certain pieces of music every video in previous series, like Mars Bringer of War or the Muscovy God Save the Tsar in the Muscovy series.
Overture was an excellent choice of track.
Some of the earlier songs, such as the sad song usually played during huge arguments, see Meme River. I think that one got me copyright struck. That specific Beethoven symphony that was sad that I used in the Meme River series got me copyright struck later. That's the piece that got me copyright struck in the Ars Aquitania, I think. Yeah, Gustav also pointing out that, yeah, in the Scandinavia series, I just used the national anthems of the Scandinavian countries on repeat. But this is a bit of a deep cut in the discography. But if you watch the Scandinavia series, I start off just using the national anthems and I have them on repeat throughout the series. But in the later episodes, or just in the grand finale, I think I make a much better use of music in the grand finale of the Scandinavia series. So you can see me improving, and you can see me start to use music properly or better. Anyway, here is now this. As you can see, we have a save going up to 1932. Actually, you can't really see it because my head's in the way. There's a save going up all the way to 1932 here. That was when the campaign technically actually ended. So we'll come back to that though. I'm going to come back and show you that. I'm going to go over the whole series soon from start. We're going to go through the series, maybe put on a couple of episodes, just look through them, and I'll give you my thoughts. I'm not going to watch the whole series. We're going to go through the series, not too slowly or too fast. Thank you, Donner Blitz Mapping, as well. Bavaria Awards, yeah, check the description or the pinned comment there. You can go and vote for your favourite episode. Lots of people have voted already, probably more have since the stream started, so I'm going to give you an update. But 1929, this is the save. This is the save where I ended the series. You can also find a creative way to use Here Comes the Bride, which was a Wagner song popularized. Why am I gonna use Here Comes the Bride? Who's getting married in our Victor games? It doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. How much time did you spend figuring out which music to use? Well, sometimes something comes to me. Sometimes it takes me a while to research stuff. Actually, I do actually spend a lot of time on it sometimes. Depends. But now, this is the 1929 save where I ended the campaign. So this is the grand finale. I didn't show South America in the grand finale, but look, it's a bit of a joke. You've got Bjornia, I suppose. But you've got the American Confederation AI that Gran Colombia did not bother eating, or England did not bother eating, ever. See you later, Catalyst. Thank you so much for dropping by. The Ghost of Vienna, mate, let's go into the save in 1929. It's there. It never died. It's always there. It saw through the whole campaign. So thanks for the £5 super chat, and there's your answer for that one. The Ghost of Vienna, right there. Ah, now this is the save that the campaign ended on, and look what's happening. You see the Chinese troops? Well, and obviously the Netherlands is finishing off taking Flanders and Brabant. You want another amazing detail about this? The war score. So the Netherlands in the 1929 save added Flanders and Brabant, which are his cores. But they cost 145 war scores, so he didn't actually take them both in one war. He got someone to do a fucking transfer. So, but you know, in the end, I just edited them to him to make it just look neat for the end of the series. He formed the Netherlands. If you go to the next save, so there's 1929, where I ended the series, and then 1931. Look at all the mess in 1931 because we're doing transfers and shit. I was taking Lithuania I was annexing the Polish AI. Netherlands did that transfer for me. The Albions was doing the transfer for fucking Brabant. Spain was doing the transfer for Lorraine, and the DPRB, which is communist Burgundy. It fell to a rebel or something. Ended up on the Luxembourg region. So I never took it because I would have to use conquest. But yeah, Kurdistan was still there. Yeah. Thank you, MK Ultra Fondler, for the $4.99. Thank you so much. Did you? I don't know if you caught the rest of the CK3 Game of Thrones stream, which I did on Monday. Was it Monday or Saturday? It was Saturday. I did a CK3 stream on Saturday. I named my cat after MK Ultra Fondler. That's the name of my cat in that stream that I'm doing, which I will do again. I'm going to return to that stream on Thursday. But anyway, yeah, Germany never got good name placement. If you go to before, like before my peace deal, when did that war end? Before the peace deal. Yeah, the German name placement was in Germany. Then I took Wallachia and Moldova, and it goes back down there into the Balkans where you know, I took Wallachia and Moldova, and then look what happened to the shape of the map.
You want to watch, but I'm at work. You guys better ask some good questions for us VOD consumers. Cheers, Spudgy.
Thanks, MK Ultra. You have a cat? No, I don't have a cat. I'm telling you, I named the cat in CK3 campaign after MK Ultra Fonder. So yeah, someone in the chat. I'm going to come back to that though. So I'm going to go chronologically through the series, and then when we get to the end in the grand finale, I'll tell you about what happened after the stuff in the 1931 2 saves. Okay, we're going to come back to that. So I'm going to back out of the game now. What's the song that we've got next in the playlist? It's still the Tannhaus Overture. A very varied piece of music in volume. And also when I get to after the review of all the episodes, I will come back and look at the Hungarian Papa Simulation. I had another couple of people asking about that as well. I'll come back to that, I promise. I can't just dump all the information in the first half an hour of the stream, or else no one will have anything to watch for later. Now, okay, before I start going through the episodes, Chrono wants in. So, okay, fine. A couple of live words from Chrono. Hello.
Hello.
You're live.
I see that. Mr. Walking Phoenix himself has come to grace your stream.
Oh, I'm just also noticing on the Discord that people are talking about the HOI4 thing. Dempsey's there. But that, again, I'll come back to that. So, what did you think? What are your thoughts on your campaign overall as Burgundy then?
Oh boy. At the time, pretty painful. But looking back, honestly, that was probably like one of the more interesting or at least fun campaigns I've had. Definitely didn't end well, but I mean, better than some campaigns I've had before and since.
Yeah, you went through loads of comebacks, you made some interesting moves, sometimes cheeky moves to stay alive, and when I was playing back in the actual campaign, I didn't really think much of it. I was perfectly happy to just sort of, you know, take your land. But looking back on it and editing the campaign, I can see how you had a fucking crazy campaign and you made so many good comebacks.
For sure.
Yeah, and something in the early campaign that I wanted to talk about was that you only came in session 2. So Burgundy was played by Pero in session 1 of the campaign. So he fought the first 3 wars. He won the first 2 and lost the 3rd and quit. And then you come in, and the first thing you get was the big rebellion.
Yeah, that rebellion, man, that was like the first domino, you know? If it weren't for that, that would have been a much different campaign.
Yeah, and just as we're talking, the most epic part of the Tannhauser Overture is fucking playing. I didn't even use this part in any videos. Anyway, so yeah, that rebellion, I can't remember the details of it, and the only save that I have is in 1845 near it, which is 3 years before it happened. Do you remember why it happened or what the state the country was in that you inherited in
Uh,
session 2? Or is that too long
no,
ago?
I think it was just like liberal rebellion, wasn't it? Like a generic liberal
Yeah,
rebellion.
Jacobin.
Because yeah, Jacobins. I mean, I'd have to go back and rewatch it, but the country had been at war for like a while, right? And I think it got full siege, didn't it?
I can't remember. I think the war that it was in, which is in part 3, you didn't really get full sieged in the war. Or your
Hmm.
country, it wasn't you playing. But
Was it like the 1840s,
I'm going to
at
go into
least?
the save closest to it right now. 1845. So yeah, the revolution. So there's two saves here. The 1848 one, you're already a republic, so you can't gather much from that. And then the nearest one before that is 1845, which is during the war.
Huh.
This is the save between sessions 1 and 2. So the war had been surrendered.
Yeah,
You've already
that's
retreated your whole army
roughly
back.
around. That's roughly around like the liberal revolution, so that could probably be it.
I think the revolution happens a couple of years after this. Wait, I'm going to go and open part 3. Or part 4, actually part 4. That's when it happens.
Do we remember if there were like any
If you bought a
issues
car
with
between
rebels in
20
general in the mod or militancy?
Sorry, I got an advert. What did you say?
Oh, were there any issues throughout the campaign with like rebels or militancy in general?
No, I don't think there were.
No.
Other than the Albions later in the game.
I
But
don't know, man.
no.
They just kind of rose up. Although I do remember, they only sieged my capital for like a month from what I can remember, and I'm pretty sure, at least in like base game Vic, it needs to be 3 months or something along that, so I feel like something had been tweaked with the rebels to make me capitulate a lot faster.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there either. It's quite weird. I mean, I don't even know the technical mechanics of when a rebellion causes your government to change. But for
I
you, it was
feel like
very
it's
fast enough.
months. I feel like it's 3 months.
I mean, I've heard it be a year. A whole year.
That seems way too long.
Right. So the rebellion happens in part 4.
Mm-hmm.
So it's happening in 1847. So you mobilized here for it. And that's in the game. So it happens like 2 years after the war. The war gets pieced out soon after, the change of sessions. It wasn't like immediately after the war. I mean, I can look at the rebels here. There is a build-up. There is a decent build-up. 30 days, says 4th Kaiser in vanilla. Yeah, everyone in the chat, by the way, is telling me to tell you a joke so you laugh, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I've kind of gotten famous for that, but I don't know. If you make me laugh, it'll probably come out, but it might not sound the same on this brand new microphone. Well, not brand new, but new since the series.
I'll tell you an interesting detail about that, though. So, in the session where you had your mental breakdown when you were playing Burgundy and dying to the Albions
Which
and
one?
everyone.
Which breakdown?
Oh, yeah, true. The one where it all went wrong, where you truce blocked everyone. That one.
Yeah, I think
So-
I remember that.
When you were laughing a lot there, I turned your volume on Discord way down. So before that point in my footage, which became the series, you were quite loud. Then after that, you're really quiet because I turned you down during that session. No offense.
Nah, I get you.
But
I mean, what I had at the time was like this dollar store webcam microphone combo that I just used for the microphone
yeah, that
and
was it also.
the
It,
webcam
yeah.
for school and such. So that thing peaked real easily. It was garbage.
And then, I mean, because I turned you down, when I was later editing the stuff where you're quiet, I tried to edit you up to a normal volume all the time. But if you're speaking at the same time as someone else, I can't. So you're always quiet.
Yeah,
Anyway, that's a stupid editing note.
that's what we're here for.
What I've got here on the screen is the rebellion state in 1845, a couple of years. So there is a big build-up of Jacobin rebels coming. I guess in that time, obviously, you didn't pass a reform. The reactionary party is in power. So
I feel like I wasn't able to pass a reform. I mean, if you look at the militancy up there, it's not that bad. Like, what is that, 2.3? That could be a lot worse.
yeah, liberal agitation is there, so it's going up for that reason. But I don't know. I don't really know the specifics. War exhaustion is only 4 here, and the war is ending soon, so it doesn't really make much sense. I guess you got a lot of unaccepted pops, but then you lose them in the peace deal. You lose Normandy, don't you?
Yeah. I don't know. Perhaps it was an act of God.
So, do you have anything else you'd like to say about the campaign or the series or something?
In general, not really. I mean, if you brought up like a specific episode or event, we could probably go into more detail, but like, in general, it was just like a roller coaster, to be honest.
Yeah, so what I was gonna do was go through the whole series myself and talk about editing and stuff, but you came in here, so I wanted to talk about your stuff while you're here. It's
But
weird
of
to look
course.
back though. I mean,
This campaign was, what, 2021, 22?
2022. So it started in about March 2022, lasted a couple of months, just over that.
Crazy to think it's both that long ago and not that long ago at the same time.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel like that long ago. Most of the people from it, in fact, everyone is still around, sort of playing games. Dempsey's still hosting.
Well, sort of hosting.
Anyway, I'm going to get back to the thing where I go through all the episodes. Maybe you could like to come back later, and maybe we can get other people to have a general chat about the campaign in hindsight later. Maybe, if you want to.
That would be fun.
But it was nice to talk to you once again, Mr.
Oh,
Coleman.
and to my fans, thank you all so much. I love y'all. Bye.
Well, there it is, everyone. You heard from the Chrono himself. I think on one of the previous... I did a war analysis stream from one of the one we did in part 14 and 15. I think we got Lizard on briefly in that one. Well, there you go. Chrono loves you, chat, and you love Chrono. That's something that developed through this series. I want to enter VC as Vic2 MP Expert. Fourth Kaiser, you were not in this campaign. So, the Burgundian Revolution happened in part 4. Let's get this back up here.
Oh, Russia.
My economy is really bad. Ooh, my economy was really bad. You hear that?
And Elvian.
I did a meme here where everyone's focusing on Russia forming, but in the background, Burgundy is absolutely dying. You wanna let this play out? I think this is pretty accurate. The little clip I used to represent Burgundy in this situation. Anyway, so I did this community post a few days ago, and there's a couple of facts about the series. So as I say, it started on the campaign started, or the series, this is the series. I'm getting a bit bamboozled. Yeah, and it was also a bit weird to hear the Muscovy series music come back after all that time. So the series started on the 22nd of May 2023 and ended a few days ago with the grand finale. The campaign itself happened in March 2022 and lasted until May. So The series started almost exactly 1 year after the campaign itself ended. Session 11 was on the 28th of May. What's the song we've got on right now? I can't hear it. Faust Overture. Bit quiet. Now, if we go back to the playlist, bearing in mind the distance, I've talked a lot here about why it took that long. So, we came off the back of the Venice series. That was the campaign that I was editing when the Bavaria campaign was being played. So, while the Venice series was coming out in 2022, while I was dropping those episodes, I was playing Bavaria at the same time. So that kind of impacted things, because the Venice series had a very interesting Danubian Confederation run that was going on, and I was kind of building it up a little bit. Can he form Germany? And that's what I alluded to when I made the trailer. So before I started the Bavaria series in May 2023, I made a trailer for it, and I hinted, well, we get through this clip.
I really hate the last seconds of every video.
I'm gonna. I started off been quietly eating German nations. They are someone to definitely watch out for here. Ever since the day Scandinavia transferred Pomerania and Holstein to the Danubians, it seems like we've been on a trajectory to see the first ever formation of Germany in DoD in multiplayer.
Can Germany form after this war? Yeah, he has all the Sperlings except Bremen.
What
This
is this
Danubians
war?
is a skill issue right now.
Basically the second war ever he fought in this campaign.
He's been fighting transfers.
Danubians fell out of GP, so we won't even be able
I
to
was
form
just
Germany.
about to say that.
Nice.
He lost his Spearlings.
Where are my spears at?
How was Germany not formed yet?
He couldn't have predicted that the campaign would have ended. If it continued, there would probably be some opportunities to form Germany, but it's 1907, come on. And by the way, that comment there, which I said in one of the analysis sections of the Venice series, towards the end of that, possibly even the grand finale, or the War of the Skill Issue episode, which was late in that series, I said, it's 1907, come on, you know. You're taking a long time to form Germany, but then look how long I took in my one. Now, I didn't get all the way to 1907, but what was the year I formed it? 1902, I believe. Oh, thanks, Adblock. We got one little bit of jump scare of an advert. So I actually formed it 1903. 1903. Let me get a clip before I formed it. Yeah, I formed it in 1903. So the Venice series campaign died in around 1907, 1908 or something with One Great War. This campaign, I formed Germany in 1903. So it takes a long time. The reasons that we took different amounts of time were different. I think the Danubians in the Venice series definitely could have formed it earlier. He had more opportunities. But me, I suffered from the war score taking ages. You know, really high war score costs held me back. But anyway, the point I'm making is that during the Venice series, I'm playing Bavaria, and I know full well that I'm going to do a Bavaria series later. So I'm hinting at it and foreshadowing it a little bit. Germany didn't and then form, I referenced it is that. What it is. All we can do now is look forward to some other time. Maybe there can be a Germany in Divergences of Darkness. Maybe I'll give it a crack, who knows. But it wasn't to be in this campaign, even though earlier in the campaign we were almost certain it was going to happen. So I said that, knowing full well what the next series was going to be. But it would take a long time to actually happen, because after the Venice series, I moved on to this video called The Step-by-Step Guide to Losing as Aragon. So I was thinking, what's better to follow up from the Venice series? Well, the initial conflict, you know, the early conflict between Aragon and Venice, but from the other perspective. So my Aragon campaign came next, so I released what was known as the Aragon Cinematic Universe. So I got into that. Initially, as I say here, I'm just kind of paraphrasing what I say in this community post, but you know, I initially intended for this Aragon thing to be like a one-off thing. We're just showing me forming Aragon, Italy, and beating Venice early, and all that. But then, as I was editing that, I saw Virtual Rock on the No Guy Horde, and I thought, oh, I should make a video out of that as well, you know, put that to one side, and then made it after. And then I also saw the Holy Roman Empire, Like, who was playing that? I can't even remember. Fatty Arms, Ryleo, you know. So I made the whole the Aragon cinematic universe. Wait, let's go to show you those videos. Look, I'm live right now. You should watch that. So we go way back past the Bavaria series to what I did before that. And as you can see, you know, solid amounts of Aragon Cinematic Universe stuff. So Venice Grand Finale happens, and then the immediate follow-up is step-by-step guide to losing his Aragon. We got a lot of variety stuff here. We got the Empire at War videos. We got the, you know, the Bokoin meme. And then we go through loads of that. So basically, it's not exactly like this, but I get sidetracked. So the Bavaria series is sitting in my recorded footage for ages, and I'm doing the Aragon thing instead. But there's a certain other game that came out around this time that kind of sidetracked me. And it was Victoria 3. So Victoria 3 comes out in late 2022, after I've done the Aragon Cinematic Universe. But I've also done the South American Thunderdome, which for all those people shilling the shark shit in the chat was a good shark campaign. There you go. That was me playing Canada. That's a good one. So I did that. I was really just inspired to do it. And the Bavaria series would continue to sit in the folder. I mean, I did actually put the Bavaria series footage into a Sony Vegas timeline, and I tinkered about with it. I edited down the first bit of footage and looked at it, you know, started laying the groundwork for it early. But I was more inspired. I thought the South American Thunderdome, well, that was amazing, really interesting, unique stuff. So I did that. And then Victoria 3 comes out. But in the midst of that, I continue that campaign. The Canada campaign, in which Fourth Kaiser played as Switzerland. And we had a whole video dedicated to that. There's Timmy screaming at Switzerland. Yeah, good stuff. Tanky Warrior was there in that as well. Can't remember which one you were, one of those South American countries. Colombia, were you? I mean, that was really fun. That's a good campaign. And it's actually, believe it or not, it's very relevant to talk about that one, because that's actually what I'm going to be doing next. But I've said this many times, but the thing I'm doing after the Bavaria series is to finish off that Canada campaign with the Great War that happened there. Venezuela. So there was a really good, interesting Great War in that Canada campaign, coming in after fucking the Sokoto, the rise and fall of Sokoto. Oh, and I also kind of forgot here that, you know, the Aragon Cinematic Universe, there was also a Great War in that, which was really good, and I ended that. So those were two really big videos, 2 parts of an Aragon Great War. I also did them in early 2023. We also had the Open Vic project. That's another huge thing that happened. And by the way, it's still going. The guys at Open Vic are still working away and producing that great thing. Just haven't had any big updates for a while to show you, nothing flashy. But they're still doing it. I can absolutely guarantee you. So I'll talk about, well, other plans apart from Canada. They're quite secret, but maybe we'll hint towards something later. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat, the Farno from Mars Gaming. Well, I don't know. You can, if you want me to check that game out, link me on Discord or something, because by the time the stream ends, I'll probably forget. So anyway, all that happens. The Aragon Cinematic Universe, Victoria 3 comes out, the Open Vic project starts. I do the Canada campaign, Canada Saves Essential Powers, another Victoria 3 video there. I did, and then the Rise and Fall of Sokoto from the Canada campaign as well, which really did well compared to the other ones in that. Canada 41k, Japanese Invasion 37k, Switzerland 47k, and then the Rise and Fall of Sokoto, quite a popular one. But then, finally, after all those things, we're coming to May 2023.
When you eventually do more variety content again, I'd really love to see you play airships conquer the skies.
Oh, that's a really good question in the chat there, Kellen. Were there any clues to the next series hidden in Bavaria, like there was with Venice? Well, I'm going to go ahead and say there's nothing as direct and in your face as the stuff I did in Venice, hinting, oh, well, maybe someone will come along and play Bavaria. But the places that I'm going to play next, you know, they're important in Bavaria. You know, they're there. It's all there. Anyway, so, and the way I sort of, not that many people watched the trailer, but I think it was important. I think the trailer was an important thing because I saw this as, a lot of different things had been going on for the past while. We had Open Vic and Victoria 3 and stuff. And I saw this Bavaria series coming out as a sort of return to form, a return to the classic format of a DoD campaign. So I put this bit in the trailer. The next Divergences of Darkness multiplayer series,
I'm thinking I'm back.
Firm's dirt status.
So I wanted to, the sort of feeling I had was, I'm returning to the classic format. We're doing another DoD campaign. It's a return to form. We're back. That was the sort of thought I had going into it. And it was something that I'd been waiting around for a while. It actually, I remember when I had the Bavaria Session 1 thing laid out in the Sony Vegas thing, it was taking me a while to figure out how to start the campaign. I had a bit of a creative block with starting the campaign. I remember that. Oh, advert jump scare. So I was wondering, how do I start the campaign? I had a lot of different funny clips from the intro laid out from the Session 1 before the game started. And then, of course, I decided what better piece of music to start it with. That's a really nice pun. Good job.
Hey, if Loco doesn't show up, I'll probably keep...
So the first little clip there was the Yes Guy Horde thing. There you go. That was the one that started the whole thing. And then, I was editing. My thought process in editing this here, before the campaign officially started and we were kind of getting into the lobby, I started my recording. There was this whole thing about Loco not showing up on Bohemia. So that became like the first scene in the series, the intro. The thing about Loco not showing up. And now I could have easily just edited that whole thing out and said, well, but Neighbor is the Bohemia player here. But I thought I wanted to, other than the fact that it's funny that Loco didn't show up and someone else got Bohemia, there's something about Victoria 2 campaigns that this kind of displays, which is that the whole campaign can change dramatically so quickly based on just what person is playing a country. So if Loco did show up on time for this, the campaign would have been so wildly different from how it turned out that we got Neighbor. You know what I mean? Who knows what I would have done, or what Loco would have done. Probably would have still gone for the same approach where I start off allying Bohemia. Series would have had different vibes. Now Loco, sometimes Loco does some big skill issues and fucks up. He's done that a lot lately. Sometimes he plays well. He's a bit sporadic. He definitely argues a lot. He argues a lot and talks a lot more. Whereas Neighbor was a more inexperienced player. One of the big differences here was we got Neighbor bordering me on Bohemia, and he was a less experienced player, so you could say that gave me an advantage in going on to form Germany and stuff, compared to Loco, who is a really experienced player. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Tutters, for the 10 New Zealand dollars super chat. Thank you so much. So, and this also applies to when a country gets substituted later, or when another player comes on a country. It changes everything so much. But, Neighbor being on Bohemia, well, he conducted himself brilliantly throughout the entire campaign. It was a pleasure. He played well many times. Were there really that many instances that Neighbor fucked up on Bohemia that Loco wouldn't have, or a more experienced player wouldn't have? Because if you remember back to the Venice series, with Loco playing on the dual monarchy and our constant skill issues against Burgundy and Scandinavia and all that. That could have been Bohemia if Loco had played it, you know. There was the gas attack thing later in the game, of course, but look, I think things were already kind of decided by that point. The place where you could argue that Bohemia supposedly skill issuing was the most important, maybe part 14, the Hugbox removal squad, because that was absolutely pivotal.
Loved
No,
the series. Was sad to see large Bavaria evolve to Danube. We love large Bavaria.
You know, another little fucking reference about the jokes and stuff and puns leading into the campaign. What else to say about how I started the series, really? Just, it's kind of basic, you know. We're just in the lobby. I'm showing a couple of clips from us in the lobby before the game, and then we start. I start doing my opening moves, and then I transition into the massive intro that you have to do, explaining the starting position. I did this in the Venice series as well. I really went into detail explaining the starting position of the country, the potential diplomacy. I did this in like the American Bloodbath. I think it's important. I hope you don't think that it went on too long or anything like that. But, you know, the timestamps are always there to skip directly ahead. There's a joke I used about Loco.
What I will ask you though is, can you give me one more day?
So, and then episode 2. What can we say about episode 2? Well, there is something I wanted to say about episode 2. We move on to the War of Italian Independence. So we start to see Lizard on Savoy, which would later become Italy. And that's kind of important because the alliance with Italy throughout the whole campaign was absolutely crucial. I think we were really the closest allies throughout the entire campaign. At certain points I was talking about how the dual monarchy was my closest ally, but really it was Savoy on Italy. At least when he got formed. And I started that off in the grand finale. The opening clip I used in the grand finale was a clip of us talking about that. So, went in to highlight that. We also had to see a little bit of the Americas. Come on, Plantagenet, accept the vision. He's not going to feature in the video. I need the Americas section. Meta self-referential intro. I think that's a good one. In general, I thought very long and hard about how to do the intros to all the videos in the Bavaria series. That's something I often struggled with. Like, how do I open a video? Because arguably, it's the most important thing. I'm always thinking, I need to open it with something good or something funny, something that'll grab the attention, right? Or else people might click off it. So, every video in the Bavaria series, I kind of thought hard about how to do the intro. And then in this one, we had the rules. So I wanted to make a point about the rule lawyering. So we come into this campaign. I do a clip, a meme from, what's it called? What's this film shit called again? I've already forgotten.
Here. April 1865, Queen Victoria.
All player wars successful. It must be announced for war goal. Yeah, okay.
Contains information regarding.
If you get consent, what? You may only declare war on nations in a player war. It's independence, national treasure and all that. So I thought it was really important to explain. I used this intro to explain the big change in the rule set that this campaign had. There was the whole thing about you being allowed to declare on a country in an already existing war if one side or the other consented. And that was the rule we played under throughout the whole campaign, and it impacted lots of wars, and it came in even in the grand finale when we got the dual monarchy to intervene against Scandinavia. So it was referenced from start to finish. So I wanted to highlight it and explain it early on. I mean, I explained it with dialogue from in-game,
if you're allies with the guy who got
and then I'm pretty sure I also explain it in the fucking analysis as well. Maybe in the analysis section at the end of this. Don't know. But it was important to get that highlighted. So, rule lawyering in the Bavaria series is a point I wanted to talk about. because you have episode 2 where I start to highlight the rules, but then in episode 3 it's called Rule Lawyers Destroyed, and I used the image from the film. What was it fucking called? What was the film called? Nobody or something like that, with the actor playing Saul Goodman getting punched in the face. Of course, it's not from Better Call Saul. But in this episode, the interesting thing is that there's some rule lawyering in this episode, but this is kind of the end of rule lawyering in the campaign, in the series. It gets killed here. We beat the rule lawyers in part 3, and it never really is a big issue in the rest of the campaign. I mean, there are obviously some rule disputes, and there are some bits later in the campaign, but there's nothing terrible. There's nothing like the Meme River or some of the things in the Venice series. It gets nipped in the bud in part 3. So, by the way, I haven't actually talked about the Spud Awards results in any detail so far. Like, how are they going? I haven't looked for a bit. Shall we have a look? Because we've now got a lot of responses. I mean, I was looking earlier. I'm not able to display the responses on the screen because either I do it on my end, which is logged in on my shit, and you can see my email, or I log in anonymously. I mean, through another window where you can also see my email. But there's now 173 responses. So if you haven't voted yet, vote for your favourite episode and all that. It's in the pinned comment in the chat, and it's in the description. So what have we got? So in 174 responses, the best episode, we have the largest vote. I'll have to read them out physically here. And this is only so far. So if you're watching this stream as a VOD later, it might have changed. But I'm gonna leave the awards thingy up longer than this stream, so I want more people to vote in it. But so far, 24% of the vote is for part 14, the Hugbox Removal Squad. Part 14 is the largest one so far. Very interesting. Now, to be honest, I was thinking that might be the case, part 14. If I take a screenshot, I can't really show you because I have to hover over the things in the pie chart. I'm just explaining to you visually. And I would totally agree with that vote. That part 14 was absolutely brilliant. I mean, I'm not saying that to blow my own horn in terms of editing, but I mean like the events that happened in it. Peak stuff with Chrono fighting side by side. Of course, that would be like the only war I fought with Burgundy, but when we did, it was fucking really good. And like that also makes me want to talk about the sort of flow of the series, because you had that run of episodes from 13 with England forming, 14 with that war, and 15 which is a continuation of that war, and then the massive war in 17 and 18, which were like the mid-series peak, where like the most dramatic and epic events happened within that. Those, I would say, the 4 episodes, the war of part 14 and 15, and then the war of part 17 and 18, I guess. That was like the mid-series where it was all kind of decided there in those massive wars where we took on the odds. And then in part 22, but I'll talk about that more when we get to it. So that's okay. What's the next highly voted one? Let's see. After part 14, the next most voted one at 19.6% of the vote, and more people are voting, so it's kind of changing as I go here. But the next highest one is part 11, Arcadian Psycho. So Arcadian Psycho is the next highest voted one, with Big Weevil on Arcadia there. And I always kind of wondered, well, it's kind of a really popular episode, but it has lower views. No, it doesn't really. On average, it's up there. It doesn't. So there's our Arcadia, part 11. Just, you know, the imagery, the story of that Arcadia. So, I mean, part 11 is very popular and what happens in it is amazing, but it has to be built up to. You wouldn't get part 11 without part 8, remember? So in part 8, the dual monarchy abandoned the Belgian Confederacy, and the original Belgian Confederacy player on that went doomer. He's like, why did you fucking abandon me, you idiot? And then the next session, Big Weevil comes in to substitute, and then he becomes the Arcadian Psycho. So it has to be built up to. The next highest voted episode is part 22, Let the German Eagle Rise, of course. So it goes part 14, part 11, and then the next highest one is part 22 at 11%. You know, it's part 22. And, you know, maybe later I'll talk about, you know, the flow of the series and maybe, you know, the argument for whether I could have ended the series there and all that. Part 12 I enjoyed so much. Part 12 was the crazy one. That was the one I mentioned with Chrono. That's where, you know, and we've got the Joker Burgundy image used there. Best thumbnail. And by the way, part 18 is the 4th highest. I would have thought part 18 would do better because, I mean, Fourth Kaiser is shilling it in the chat as well, but part 18, Hell Breaks Loose. Absolute chaos. Fourth Kaiser, I'm going to get to that, what happened to the rest of the game. We're going to get to that when I cover the existing series, and then we'll talk about what happened in the rest of the campaign. We'll get there. Thank you, MK Ultra Fondler, for the 499 super chat. So you vote for part 14, and you like, I mean, yeah, you got to remember that just because you have your one favourite that you vote for on the awards doesn't mean that you dislike the others or anything. Best thumbnail. Okay, the thumbnail vote has a lot more variety to it. There isn't a clear winner out of this. So, but the one that has been highest voted for is part 11, Arcadian Psycho. That's the one that's been highest voted for in the thumbnail question. Arcadian Psycho. And someone in the chat there also mentioning the part 14 thumbnail, which is just kind of basic. And it's funny how I came to that, because I had the idea for this like a long time before I got to actually editing that episode. So I was really looking for, like when I was editing parts 1 to 13 and all that, I remember I was looking so forward to getting to this because this was the absolute best bit. I knew that all along, and I wanted to use the clip of not Rocky, fucking what's he called, Rambo, saying nothing is over. So I thought, okay, I'm using that clip of Rambo, let's put him in the thumbnail. Just that idea of Rambo going in and fucking gunning everyone down was the idea behind that. Obviously, Michael Corleone represents Italy, and the Joker shooting representing Burgundy. I also had an alternate shot of the Joker that I was going to maybe use in the thumbnail, but it was too dark. I'm going to show you that. There was also this image, so obviously inverting that to face the other way. If you can imagine that on the right hand side, but as you can see, the image is too dark even when I tried to increase the brightness. And anyway, it looks better with him actually pointing the gun. It matches like a mirror image of the other side. How many votes for part 23 thumbnail? 23? Oh. that would be totally oblivious. Oh yeah. Well, let's see what's the next highest. So after part 11, the next highest voted thumbnail is part 4, Breaking Bad. I also have something to say about this thumbnail. I also have something to say about the Breaking Bad thumbnail, which is I had an alternate version of it. So let me show you the alternate version of part 4, Breaking Bad, and it's this. So what you have here, so the one that you see on the screen now that I've added, this was like, this is Breaking Bad thumbnail, but in the normal sort of format, where I put a little bit of extra stuff on it. I also have the episode number and some extra things, right? But the one I eventually decided to just go for the absolute minimalist thumbnail. Because the image of the meme of fucking Walter in Baden was just strong enough on its own. I didn't need the extra stuff or the extra context. I thought, you know, bang, minimalist. This is the one of the few times that I would go for a minimalist thumbnail. So maybe some people saying, all right, both the people in the chat there are saying that the minimalist is better. I think when I was making even the minimalist version, I thought of putting the episode number at the bottom, but then that would make Walter too small. I wanted to make it as big as possible, I think. The lack of info makes it better, you must watch to find out. True, yeah. What about the non-Victoria 2 vids? Oh, I'll get to mentioning that soon. So, what's the next thumbnail people have voted for? So after part 4, we then have part 14. So we were just talking about the part 14 thumbnail. That's the third highest. And then the fourth is part 22. And I was actually thinking, I thought that part 22 thumbnail would be higher. I thought that might have been the highest voted one. I think out of the thumbnails, if you were to ask me which one I'm most proud of and happy with, it would be part 22. Kind of sad to see both straight up meme, Baden and Psycho being so highly rated by the community. Well, I don't know why you're sad to see that, but it's fine. I think it does show that maybe it's not so much the meme, but it's just the minimalist design. Like the entire thumbnail is that one thing, whereas the other ones have multiple little pieces of information on them. Okay, arguably part 22 is a cluttered thumbnail. I guess I'm happy with it because it contained the best information about what is in the episode. And there's a lot of stuff on it. I guess that you could say it's cluttered, yeah. Nobody else voted for Joker Bavaria. Joker Burgundy, I mean. Joker Bavaria? You mean Burgundy? That will be part 12. I think, in hindsight, I think I should have gone for minimalist Joker Burgundy here, actually. I honestly think, looking at it again, minimalist might have worked here as well in part 12. Totally Oblivious part 23 one is funny when you see the episode. I mean, look, I'm happy with that one as well. There's some details in that one. Giga Chad, this is also following up directly from the spin-off where it sets up the Spain situation here, where he kind of gets what do you call it? It's like a payoff. He gets revenge, he gets revenge for the spin-off, basically. He turns from the nerd that everyone's making fun of in the spin-off to the Giga Chad nerd in part 23. I thought that was great. And my detail is that I put the Giga Chad body over a Spain flag, and it matches up perfectly with the photograph of the ships, you know. The Joker with only the soy jack would have been good as well. Maybe. But the rationale for putting those soldiers there is, well, if I have one thing in the middle, one thing on the right, and one thing on the left, it would have looked empty on the left if I did have the soy jack without the soldiers. But it doesn't really look great. It looks a bit out of place. Anything else from that? Okay, I mean, what's the 5th highest thumbnail vote? It's part 13. Part 13 is the next highest. Of course, part 13 is also a good minimalist one, focusing on the North FC meme formation thingy. So yeah. And by the way, of course, that is Zenmos artwork. All credit for that. That is a Zenmos drawing. I came up with the idea. I will credit for coming up with the idea of North FC's lifting up an England flag as if it was Iwo Jima. And I asked Zenmos to make that. What's your least fave thumbnail? Oh, the way part 12 ended up, actually, I think. There are some thumbnails throughout the series that maybe I'm not too happy with aesthetically, but do the perfect job of capturing what's in the episode, as far as I'm concerned. Like part 15. Part 15 doesn't strike you as like an amazing thumbnail with an iconic image on it, but it's all I wanted to show. You know, I wanted to show a battle happening. I looked up fucking paintings of battles around Prague in the Prusso-Austrian War. Or Bavaria. I think that might even be... I was trying to look up Bavarian battles in that war as well. And then there's the Asian hug box. The hug box, and then a detailed map of the hug box. It's not striking, it's not amazing, but it does the job. It captures what's going on. A lot of episodes are like that. Part 20, perhaps an underrated thumbnail though, because I liked how I split it up into two things. The European section of the war and then the ADF war going on at the same time with Starship Troopers. Anyway, we're going on about the those. So best imagery. There were some other ideas for questions in the form as well, but I was thinking a question of best meme or best joke, but then I would have to like search through the series or ask people to nominate them. But I just looked through quickly and came up with a set of things that were like the iconic images of the series. Joker Burgundy is winning that one, 41%, of course. But then the next one after that is German tanks crushing the Albion Revolution, which is in the part 26 thumbnail. That's quite funny. I liked coming up with that one. And by the way, in the spin-off question, it's overwhelmingly voting the Hispano-Japanese War spin-off, which is understandable. I mean, in terms of the spin-offs, this one is longer than the other spin-off, and there's more of a clear, coherent story. The other spin-off, the Indian Conspiracy to Invade America, it's fun, I think. I liked it, but, you know, there's a lot of just shouting, and it's just a bit of a crazy little funny story, but I still wanted to include it, because it tells some of the story of the Asian hug box and some American things, but not directly related to Bavaria, so spin-off. I did not like the Scooby-Doo plot, too drawn out. But it's not a plot, that was just banter. And you know, I thought the reason, and I wouldn't have included such a long period of pure Scooby-Doo banter in a normal episode. I did it in a spin-off because I thought, well, I'll allow things to just get a little sillier in this. Perhaps I would have shortened it down if it was in a normal episode. Anyway, if you do want to know about the non-Bavaria content, oh, the best non-Bavaria Victoria 2 video is a three-way tie of 30% between the three videos. And then, well, there's not you know, there's not too many votes for the Hearts of Victoria 2 Japan one that was edited by Shiny Flareon, the guy who's did a very nice job, I think, editing, doing a bit of editing for my channel. But, you know, it's a three-way tie between the other three. And then Best Variety Videos during this time is also basically a three-way tie, although the OpenTTD is ahead by a few percentage points. The other ones being Lethal Company and Victoria 3. And I'll read through the comments that people have left later. So, thank you, that one boy, for the $5 super chat. Glad to hear it. Thank you. Yeah, England not having a navy, that was, yeah. So, what do we talk about from here? Well, I think a topic that I'd like to go on to discuss is the idea of, well, how long the series is, and could I have ended the series on part 22? Could we have called it here? What?
I just got my free Love Honey.
What the fuck are these recommendations? I'm not logged in. This is what YouTube advertises when it's just like kind of by default and no one's logged in and it's based on nothing. Came here late. Well, you can catch up and watch the rest, but so the thing, I wasn't exactly sure about part 22 if people would consider it to be the epic finale-esque episode. Well, we'll get to that, MK Ultra Fondler, about the Fourth Great War. I was wondering what people would think of part 22 because the war is in it. You know, it's just me stomping the Albions with gas attack, and then we kind of roll over the Ottomans again for the 5th time and the Asians. But I was thinking, well, were the wars maybe too easy for people? Maybe it was getting... is the LARP sections with the Nouvelle Bruges too long? What would people think? But I guess the feedback and the result of it is that people really liked it, and it was all fine. And then, finally, we get to forming Germany.
Holy shit, look at Poland. I didn't notice how bad Poland was.
How many informed Germany?
Where the hell is it fucking... Let me obviously try and find the thing to do the transfer. The ship sinking plot was very good, the Nouvelle Bruges thingy. The series would have felt incomplete if it ended at episode 2. See, the thing is, there's pros and cons to it, so I don't think I could have ended the series at part 22 myself. Obviously, I didn't, because I didn't have all the German cores. There were still so many interesting things, like the Western European conflict, and then some more wars later, more LARP, and things like that. But there are people who have said that from this point, the series is dragged out, and I can completely understand that. Of course, I mean, from this point on, the episodes are all extremely long. They're all not really entirely dealing with German stuff, which is the main quest of the campaign, forming Germany. Like, we formed Germany here. The main conflict of the campaign that I'm trying to do is over. We've done it. The rest is just seeing it through. I get that. I'm obviously very happy with the way the rest of these episodes turned out, and it's all great. But you can see how it drags on and people aren't as interested, although, you know, it's fine. Most people are. It's better to have it drag on than to end early. That's not necessarily true for everything, but it can be. It depends. So there could be a case, like in this I couldn't have ended it early because I still had German cores to get, so I couldn't end it early. I needed to get that, or else it's not really complete. But, you know, it does, at the same time, it has to drag on because, you know, we have to get to those things. And there's all the other things happening at the same time. The final war was underwhelming. Well, of course, because, you know, I thought it was fine. It wasn't terrible. But obviously it wasn't as good because, as I was talking about earlier, we had the mid-series peak of wars. Like the best wars in the campaign were the 2 wars in the middle of the campaign, part 14 and 15, 17 and 18. And I knew full well, even editing them at the time, that I wasn't obviously going to say it, but I knew full well, it's never going to get this good again. And of course, it's interesting with the late game units, the tanks and the airplanes. Although bear in mind, those were just the stats of those units in this mod. Bear in mind that. Hard to nail a big fight. It was more of a wind down, yeah. Spud Chud, did you see Big Weevil seething that you didn't show the ultra stacked last war? Yeah, I've seen Big Weevil's comments. I don't call it seething or anything about what Weevil's saying. How do you even know how do you know that it was ultra stacked anyway? Were you in it? Who are you? I still find the Poland series finale fun. Yeah. You can compare it to the other thingies. Like how the other series is ended. I cut the American Bloodbath short. It had a couple extra sessions, and the Arcadian campaign did have a later Great War that was quite an underwhelming Great War, and I didn't make many good contributions in it. So I decided to end the campaign on the formation of Arcadia, as we all know. And I think in hindsight that was a good decision to end that one without letting it drag on. There were 2 sessions in the Arcadia campaign after I formed it. The first session, I didn't do anything. It was mainly taken up by a Japanese versus Asian war, a Japanese versus China war. And then the last session of it was the Great War, which was kind of underwhelming. Getting revenge on Aragon in Arcadia was good. Yeah, it saw some good rounding off of the story, saw some good comeuppance. So what was the last session like in this? I'm going to talk about it soon. I just want to talk about what we do have in the series and then I'll come on to it. By the way, I'm going to go and make a cup of tea. I will be back in a few minutes. Stay right where you are. I've still got many things to talk about. I still want to talk about the HOI4 conversion. Still want to talk about the final session of this campaign and the final Great War that Big Weevil mentioned. We'll talk about it completely. I'll tell you everything about it. But I'm going to go and get a cup of tea. Be back in a couple of minutes, everyone. Hope you're enjoying this stream so far. See you soon. Thanks for watching so far. Stay right where you are. Okay, everyone, I am back. What's everyone in the chat been up to? Everyone talking about my accent. Anyway, so just to sort of talk about how we ended the Bavaria series. By the way, let me get the music. The music wasn't even playing while I was gone. And the next one's Ride of the fucking Valkyries as well. We're not getting sidetracked on this stream talking about accents. We're on topic. This is a very on topic stream. So, the thing about this Great War is, obviously it technically wasn't the actual final war of the campaign that we played. So, obviously it's not the best World War, Great War thing to end a campaign. We know that. We didn't get the Americas in it. Well, we got Arcadia in it. Didn't get Asia in it. So it wasn't a full world war. But there were obviously still some good, interesting things about it. I think it was good because it was kind of dramatic how Italy was getting 3v1'd, and again referring all the way back to part 2, how you build up the Italian alliance. The final Great War was me coming in to save Italy. And it was interesting to show really how strong those aeroplanes and tanks were, and some, because you never get to see them, because we never really get that that late game. And in terms of how close or not the war was, well, if you looked at the brigade counts, and by the way, I never really did show the brigade counts, but, you know, on paper, they could have been, be right back message cheers, I'll get rid of that. They could have done better in the war. I mentioned at the end how they could have pulled back. You know, out of all the things, I never really did get the brigade counts. Can we look at one of the saves near that? When did the war start again? 1922, 4, 7? God, can't even remember. It's already ongoing. I think 1921. 1922. So yeah, in 1922, I haven't joined yet. Italy's fighting the Ottomans and everyone. So this is a late game save. The China versus dual monarchy and Spain Burgundy War is ongoing here as well. So I haven't even mobilized myself yet, and Weevil is moving his army through my land cheekily with mill access. Russia has mobilized. How much is he mobilized? So Russia's 100% mobilized, and I'm not mobilized at all. Russia has 832 brigades, I have 415. So Russia and Germany are kind of evenly matched on paper, roughly. Right? It's like, well, I have like 100 more mobilized troops, but mobilized troops are kind of shit anyway. So on paper, I mean, Germany is stronger. Like, we also have like 700 more industry score. But if you want to be really, like, really broad about it, we're kind of evenly matched. He has 29 million pops, I have 28. So he actually has 1 million more pops than me, but I've got the Albions context as well. And he had full mill tech as well. So Virtual Rock himself talked about this, you know, in the chatter we had after the war, in the video, but he didn't replace his army with aeroplanes and tanks to anywhere near the same extent as I did. So he's got a normal stack here, normal RT infantry stack here. He does have tank stacks. He does, but they're kind of, well, he has one. And by the way, the tank design for Russia is quite nice. I like that one. Then we didn't get to see it very much in action. And he has some. So that's the point. But vast majority of his army is not. That's the reason that it was such a stomp as it was, and we were absolutely shredding him in the battles. That's that. I basically already showed that in the video. So how do we count the brigade counts? Well, Italy is on 337. Italy lost a lot of brigades. Italy got stack wiped a lot, but he's rebuilding it as tanks, I guess. And these will probably be used later in the war. But he got stack wiped quite heavily. He's 100% mobilized, and he only has 337 brigades. My standing army is 415 without mobilizing. The Ottomans has 375. The Ottomans has more, and he's fully mob. And Arcadia, well, Arcadia suffered a lot, but he has rebuilt a lot of tanks. By the way, these movements I think are AI movements, so it doesn't really matter. Arcadia got beaten heavily, and there he is with some cruisers. And Scandinavia is the most important factor because he would intervene on Russia's side. What did Scandinavia, by the way, he didn't make very good contributions to that war. Really, did anyone notice that many of his troops anywhere? He has about 300 brigades, and then his mobilization is 191. So he's got a big army himself. His brigade count is only about 115 shy of mine in standing army. His mobilization is small. What did Scandi really do during that war? Not entirely sure. Where's his armies? Does he have armies in Africa? Not really. Armies in Asia? Not really. Yes, actually, he's got a big stack in Asia, but it's not that much. You know, that's the mystery of this war. What? They're stacked up here? He had his armies stacked against Russia. That's interesting. Then he joined Russia's side. Shall we go to a save later in the war and see Scandinavia in detail, what he's up to? Do we have the 1923 save? This is the save, by the way, where the First Battle of Orison is ongoing. That's that save. Where's his army? So he has 4 stacks sitting in Latvia. Okay, he really did send it all to the Balkans. He really did send a lot to the Balkans. He sent a lot to the Balkans. The dual monarchies brigades, he's not mobilized. 100? 100 standing army? The dual monarchy joined our side, kind of, but he didn't really fight any battles. Scandi doesn't have troops in Ireland and Scotland that he just went and occupied for free. So, honestly, the brigade count on paper isn't... I mean, we do have the Albions as well. So we probably do have quite a significant overall brigade advantage. But again, the reason that we won hard is because I swapped out my whole standing army for tanks and airplanes, and not just small tank detachments. Like, for example, in the war in Part 27 against the dual monarchy in Burgundy and Spain, I didn't have much of my army as tanks, only a few stacks. But by this war, all of it. So they surrendered after they lost the Balkans because Scandi got destroyed too. Yeah, and the dual monarchy coming in, and we won the navy. So yeah, show Russian literacy. Sure, why not? 91. See, again, this isn't an issue. Russia is up to date on literacy and everything. He didn't go down naval tech, that's all. It doesn't matter. Russia's up to date on literacy and all that. There's nothing inherently wrong with his country. Did he have barrel factories? Yeah, he even had quite a decent amount of barrel factories and some airplane factories. So yeah, that's a little bit more context and interesting analysis of the grand finale war. Again, I said this in the video, but they should have pulled back. They just held every province as if their life depended on it, as if it was World War I. They weren't prepared to give up ground, not even to fall back to Forest. Don't know why. They were just insistent on holding the whole line, and then they got ground down. They just stood there, took huge casualties, and then they could not fight back again. So from this grand finale war, the next thing I want to talk about, we'll come back to many other questions that people have, especially if you put it in a super chat. And yes, he did lack rubber. That's true. So he's in the process of sphering New Santara to get rubber in his sphere. Well, he's not yet. I don't know, but he does that. He gets them in the sphere by the end of the war. Yeah, there's Japan. There's Japan. But what I want to talk about... So I ended the campaign with that war being like kind of the centerpiece. And then I had a section I called the epilogue. So in the grand finale, the war was in session 10, but I also drew a lot of clips from session 11. The formation of the Netherlands was in session 11. Some of the other funny stuff we talked about towards the end was in session 11. The Grand Colombian transfer, an agreement of peace with Arcadia, was in session 11. And then later in session 11, say halfway through, we got to the next war. It was like the world war that we were all trying to contrive and make happen. You know, we came to it. But what was it? Well, it was a really bad war. How do I reveal it to you? Well, let's just go forward a couple of saves. Thanks out there, honking your horn, in agreement. We come forward and the war has started. This is a save earlier in this war. What are the sides? It's Asia back together, fighting with Russia and the Ottomans and Scandi. And both of the Americas, fighting Spain, dual monarchy, Italy, Albions, Netherlands and Germany. It's not a good war. It was absolutely terrible. The footage I haven't edited through the footage of this war much, but I've seen it. It's not good. It was a really bad war. It wasn't fun. It was the Asians coming back together, so it just kind of doesn't match the story that I wanted to create, the sort of ending I wanted. Because we did so much to break apart the Asian hug box the whole time, and then Crafter rage quit. Did you win? Well, we were losing and then the session ended and we didn't continue it. Like, obviously we got blown out in this war. We didn't stand a chance. We were losing and you could say we lost, yeah. Just seeing chat's reaction. At the start of the war, you've got, this is it. You got the perfect, you can actually see it happening here. Do you see anything wrong with this picture, chat? Do you see anything wrong with this picture? Take into account kind of who's fighting the war. Take into account what's happening. Their naval advantage was over 2-1. Do you see this? I just get my cup of tea. Just look at this picture and tell me what's wrong with it. From our side of the war. Have you noticed? We're not talking about Weevil necessarily. I'm talking about how around the start of this war, the dual monarchy and Spain launched a full invasion of the British Isles while we did not have naval dominance. And they all died. Yes, exactly. So they did that. I mean, I skimmed through the footage, but I'm busy fighting stuff in the Eastern Front. The enemy alliance fell back from the start of the war, so we didn't actually wipe any of their troops coming in here. This was free occupation. And then this front was static. I'm attacking them there, and then they've got the entire Chinese army that can reinforce that. But Meanwhile, the Western Allies just did this, and I think skimming through the footage, I was telling them not to, but I can't say for certain what went down. So even in this situation, if they don't lose half their army doing this, we lose the war. We don't really have much of a chance. But then they did this, right? So let me skim forward a bit to see the result of that. Maybe the next save. What was this one? Like a few months after that, what do we have? They're all dead. They haven't taken Ireland yet, but everything they sent to invade is dead, and they have a gigantic navy. They've got Gran Colombia. The east. So I got our boys to try launching an offensive, but we ended up just trying to attack these 4 provinces, and it was an endless cycling. And we were attacking them in 2 battles here as well in plains. It was an endless cycle fest that we never broke through because they have, again, all of Asia coming back to unite and ally and hugbox. And the thing is, towards the end of the war that I did have as a grand finale, Virtual Rock was talking about how, you know, he didn't build airplanes and tanks, and he saw that I destroyed him because of that, and he started to replace his army with tanks and airplanes to sort that. So there was a really interesting dynamic. Well, those are mobilized troops, they don't count. Look, he has tanks. He has tanks. He has tanks and airplanes. And tanks. So Virtual Rock had a really good thing where he saw the mistake of the Grand Finale War, and he replaced his army with tanks and airplanes to make up for that in the next war. He did that, that's great. But it didn't matter because he just ended up getting India and China back on his side anyway. So who cares? That's not really an interesting arc. He got Asia. So, I mean, I decided that the war that I showed in session 10 and then some of the clips in the early part of session 11 to wrap up some storylines like Netherlands forming and showing the Americans reconciling and coming back together, I thought that would be the perfect way to end it. I just didn't want to show this war. I didn't think it was an interesting war. It's not, you know, it's the reason I'm not showing it isn't just because it was a losing war for me. It genuinely isn't a good war that would be entertaining or interesting for anyone to watch. The voice chat in our alliance and the footage I have is absolutely terrible. It's me and Lizard shouting at each other. It's me shouting at the Western Europeans. I'm not trying to shy away from the fact that this happened, or else I wouldn't be showing you right now. But I don't have to make a video out of it. It's because it's really bad content. You know, here it is, everyone. This happened. I'm not shying away from the fact that we were in a losing war, and it was the final Great War, or anything like that. But yeah, that's the war that Weevil was talking about in chat, in the comment. Is there another save after this? Because they will... The enemy alliance then went to... So maybe in October, later that year, make a video of this war, but it's all a bad dream. Nah, the series is over. And remember, bear in mind, I was, you know, in terms of not including this war as a final episode, Croissant actually in the chat just said it perfectly, that if you look at it from the perspective of the series was dragging on already after part 22, you know, to do it even more, to drag it on another episode or two just to have this bad war that was not interesting or fun, you know, where I ended it was a better place. So yeah, they invaded the not British Isles, they invaded mainland Europe next, and I don't have it in a save, but in my footage they obviously broke through from this. And they also wiped out the troops in Ireland, remember those? Weevil, I mean, I'm not, you know, I don't dispute that Weevil has good thoughts about this war, because their voice channel was probably having a lot more fun than ours. We were just arguing against each other and shouting. Whereas their voice channel was having a good time because they were doing well. They were like, oh, let's invade Ireland, got that. Let's invade Brittany, let's launch that. So if Weevil wants to make a video out of this war, that's absolutely great. And yeah, this war didn't actually end. The war didn't have a conclusion. But many wars in past series don't have a conclusion. Even the one in the Muscovy series technically didn't have one, and stuff like that. That's not outside the normal thing, but ending the war on the grand finale that I did allows us to have the war, you know, have a conclusion, because it wasn't actually the last one. I thought Weevil was shitposting when he mentioned this war in the comments. No, it's real. This is it. This is it. I didn't like that in Poland. But yeah, so I think the method of allowing us to actually end a war in the grand finale, and then to use some extra footage after that happened in this session, Netherlands forming, to wrap up some storylines nicely, you know. And I said to Weevil in one of the Discords, Vic Union or something, I gave you a good ending. I gave Arcadia a great ending in this series, and then his comment is to throw it back in my face and demand the shittiest Great War you've ever seen in the next episode. I gave them a great ending. I showed a beautiful reconciliation between Gran Colombia and Arcadia. I showed Arcadia going communist in a funny way. I was talking about what the name stands for. The Patrick Bateman clip with the politics speech. Come on. And then you just want me to end it on a shitty Great War? Well, everyone will probably hate on you for it. I gave everyone a good ending. Virtual Rock is mentioning the HOI conversion. That's the next thing I want to talk about. I want to let you in on the HOI4 conversion thing. Look at the Dual Monarchy Brigade count, by the way. "74 professional brigades left after trying to invade England with no naval supremacy." Are you going to take a break? Nope. Weevil was not shit talking about this. This is no drama. This is no drama. He just wrote a comment where he first of all started by expressing how he liked the series and everything was good, and then he mentioned that he would have liked to see this war. And I'm explaining now on this stream, fully transparent about this war and why I didn't show it in the series. How much editing was put into the conversion? I don't know exactly. Have I got some messages pertaining to this? Oh, we can get more people on from the series later. A little bit later we can have more chats with people, lizards around. So the diplomatically speaking, the Americans reconciled, and then they went in against us because of Japan. So, you know, Gran Colombia and Arcadia diplomatically were against Italy for Japan, so they joined that side of the war. It made sense diplomatically speaking, but not back in Asia. No. India and China being back together and joining the Ottomans in Russia. No, that's the problem I have. And it's because the China player rage quit. Crafter, who was fighting India, he was the one who was like, oh, he was the one who was causing the breakup of that hug box, fighting India. He rage quit the campaign over the Burgundian War, White Peace reversion. And I can't remember who it was who came to play China in the session 11, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter at all. New Sinatra? Well, yeah, he's in the war against us, yeah. What's this? Germany here. I had troops in North Africa. There's a North African front. Ethiopia is on our side, and we're holding the Suez against an Indian attack. Again, like, they've also taken this. And what's going on? So at least we have Africa. Where's the new Santaran army in the war? Where's the New Santana army? Are they doing fuck all? They have their navy out over here of 302 cruisers and 19 dreadnoughts. So New Santana is joined this war on the side of the Asian hug box to send a few stacks to Egypt and send his navy. Instead of an interesting move like backstabbing the Asian hug box or something. I know you were memeing on New Santana. I was memeing on New Santana earlier in the series because I was like, what the fuck is this LARP country? But yeah, the existence of it grew on me later, and I thought it was interesting. One interesting thing about the existence of New Santana is that it is denying a lot of oil that European powers or maybe Japan would otherwise have. And remember I was talking about how Scandinavia had no oil in the grand finale? Yeah, New Santana's mere existence is denying other powers who would normally have that oil from having it. Just on the basis of this country, it's the core mainland of this country. Oh, and the sphere wasn't enough, so New Santana actually transferred an oil province to Russia, so he could have rubber towards the end. Virtual Rock got that. If you think back earlier in the campaign, I don't know if I highlighted it, but Burgundy transferred most, if not all, of his East Indies colonies to New Santana early in the game in exchange for some kind of deal or alliance. Maybe Chrono would remember or know what happened there. Let's look at some culture maps. I'm going to go back to the 1929 save, which is the one that I canonically ended the campaign on, and you now know the reasons why. So people have been asking about the culture in Hungary. How German did I make it? About a quarter, I guess, if you look at it roughly. About a quarter German. So, Trans-Danubia here is 32% Danubian. 63%. So we made it a third German overall. Most provinces a quarter. And then Central Hungary, 22%. As for some of these other regions, Slovakia here, 54% in that province, 25%. Croatia, oh, Croatia got very German. Well, there's already an existing lot of German pops in a lot of these places. Northern Serbia, Slavonia, even this place got decently German. The Romanian areas, Affold, not so much. I owned them a lot later into the game. And then Wallachia and Moldova were the last things I took. Hungary truly had the worst game out of every country. Yeah, if you rewatch the series, you'll notice what happened to Hungary in the... Thanks, Nadri. You'll notice what happened to Hungary in the first couple of episodes. You know, he died very early death. Reno is the ghost of Vienna. There was some talk about the HOI4 conversion going on in session 10 and 11. I kept all talk about the HOI4 conversion out of the videos because I just thought it would add confusion and it would build up for something that has not happened officially yet. But I still have that, so if the HOI4 does ever come to anything, I can go back and take some stuff of us talking about it, because there was some quite funny stuff. But we talked about how the ghost of Vienna would be a general or something. So, yeah, as we get onto this nice piece of music now in the playlist of the series soundtrack, which is in the description. So, there was an attempt, let's back out of the game here. During the last couple of sessions of the Bavaria campaign, and then after it a little bit, there was an attempt by Dempsey and possibly other people to convert that game into Hearts of Iron 4. Also, as people have been watching the series, as we get into the late game, a lot of people have been commenting, oh, this would be a really good campaign to convert to HOI4. It's a natural thought as you get into the late game. And especially when I start to introduce the tanks and the airplanes, and I use HOI4 and HOI3 music in the videos because that's so appropriate. People start talking about it. Yeah, also another thing, just a tangent, person in the chat talking about how the Ottomans fell due to the constant subs. Yeah. Having a country being subbed by so many different people, a revolving door, non-constant diplo, it really does harm a country, and it leads to them becoming what the Ottomans became in that campaign. And I was talking about this earlier, about how different players and subs impact how a campaign goes. So, more work was done than what I'm about to show you, I believe, but I think what I'm about to show you is possibly the first version of conversion that Dempsey did with some kind of conversion mod. This is like an early draft, and this is the one that I actually have. So, Hearts of Iron 4, everyone. If I go new game, November 1924. So this one was taken from 1924, roughly. Look at that, though. There's a little... The text was edited there. So, this is No Victoria 2. Right. Have you read it? You've read it. Okay, yeah, you've read Blark. So, we go into the country selection menu. This is obviously janky. It's not even... I think more, as I say, more progress was done on this than I'm showing you. I just don't know where I can find it. No, I don't have it. So you've got Germany. Apparently, for some reason, Germany's communist here, but this isn't like final. Mosley is leading Scandinavia. I don't think any of the I don't think any of the countries have any actual thing. So look, here we go. This is from 1924 or something. This could be a save mid-war, which explains why shit is weird over here. I think this is from the... I think since it's 1924, this is the save between session 10 and 11. So this is the save towards the end of the Grand Finale War. And that's what we've occupied of Russia. The 1929 save that I was looking at would be better. Now here's the CSRA is there. They did transport over that name. This is not... This is like... this is... By the way, this is from an old version of HOI4. I had to go back and revert to an old version. This is not even the final version of what Progress Dempsey did make. This is the first conversion that I could find. I have another map I can show you, which is a screenshot of the possibly the most up-to-date version that they did make. Okay, I'll show you that soon. But this is the one that I can actually go into the game of. And there's England. Here's England. The ruling party is a Basque party. And then Asia. Asia and Japan. Arcadian Japan. What's the name of Elba? Albion Confederation. That's all. Batavia. Oh. What the fuck if I were to actually click start? What do we have? We've got some units around. We're at war with Russia, Scandinavia, and Arcadia. Turkish. What do you mean Turkish? Turkish. Turkish. The puppets? What are those colonies in Africa? The HOI4 is so loud. Is it really? So, there's this. You went communist? No, I think that's an error in translation. Obviously, when we were talking about converting it to HOI4, people were talking about it's going to be set up to be a kind of ideological battle. So, infamously, some countries went fascist, some went communist in the series. So we were going to base it on that. Germany, throughout the series, maintained the monarchy, stayed monarchist. Since when did France own Scotland? Oh yeah, that's incorrect. Dredd himself pointing that one out. However, there's a later version, I think. This image I now have. This. Yeah, I'm back over this again. So this is actually up to date. This one looks way better. Need to make it bigger. This is also from the 1929, or what was it? Yeah, 1929 borders roughly that I showed as the end of my campaign. This was progress that was made later. I'm not sure. See, I don't know the details, right? And obviously, it's been 2 years since the actual campaign. Like, the interest in Dempsey and whatnot modding this died down. But some kind of progress was made up to this point. Those are clean borders with the countries being accurate. The Netherlands there has Flanders and Brabant and all that. Scandinavia still has Ireland, which is not 1929 accurate. The dual monarchy took that. Turkey there. Germany with my iconic Moldova and Wallachia helmet. Oh yeah, the German colonies in Africa are not in this. Inaccurate. There's the Netherlands. The Netherlands doesn't have the borders he actually ended up with. But these are all just the kind of nitpicks. I'm not saying this is final or... Oh yeah, and Scandio and Kiel, but it doesn't really matter. Because if this was to be taken seriously and actually made, it would all be fixed. The Americas, so we have the kind of final border of America that they agreed to after the transfer. It's back as it was. They even put the American Confederation in. Kurdistan is indeed gone. Now, there was also talk, Dempsey was talking in the footage I have from session 11 about how Kurdistan would actually be in it, and it would be something that would trigger the war. Kurdistan would actually trigger the war in the HOI4 mod. There would be a focus called Kurdistan or War. And I've also seen some people on my Discord are saying they want to start a new mod based on the Bavaria series, and people in the chat have said it, but if you're going to do this, I would recommend you should try and contact Dempsey in order to get the progress that was made. And either he'll come back and try to finish it, or if he doesn't want to, he can hand it over to some of the people who want to work on it. There's no point starting from scratch when a lot of progress has already been made. I just don't have the full details on it, but it was attempted. And at least we have a map to look at here, based on the series. It's something. But I do believe some progress was made into some focus trees. Focus trees are the main thing that you need to get, you know, in order to make it work. So we've had about 40 or so more responses to the Bavaria Award since I've last talked. I'm just going to have a quick look over them to see if anything's changed. Not really. Part 14 is still by far the most popular part of the series. And, get voting in it if you haven't already, by the way. Part 11 is still the most popular thumbnail. Part 4 as well, second most. Then part 14. Then 22. And then 13. And yeah. So soon, the next thing I'm going to do is invite as many people from the series on as possible from the campaign to talk. We'll get Blizzard, maybe we'll get Chrono back, Virtual Rock if you're there, and Dread. You can start going into the waiting room channel now. And you, neighbour. Albions were going to be a tank-focused nation under Germany. Yeah, you can come on to the voice chat and we can talk about it. I don't know if they were planning to make Germany fascist, but in my opinion it should absolutely not be. Because the whole point of the series was that I stayed as a monarchy. It's a German Empire, so it's like a Kaiserreich scenario. Italy went fascist. Scandinavia did go communist, although I didn't show that in the episode, the finale. The dual monarchy went fascist. Arcadia went communist, obviously. Ironically, Russia stayed monarchist as well. Didn't go to either of those ideologies. Would that mean that Germany and Russia end up allied? Here's the janky old version again. Okay.
Oh.
Ah.
Hello.
We're
what's
back
up?
Hello.
there.
Fellow members of the campaign in question. Hello.
Howdy, howdy.
Oh.
How's it going?
It's not going too well because I'm playing HOI4. Let me just back out of that.
Wait,
that map is pretty
was the
disgusting.
Lizard here?
Lizard
Oh, hey,
will
we got
probably
a
be here.
neighbor in here.
The thing about converting it to HOI4 is, oh, well, great, yeah, convert it to HOI4, but I don't really like HOI4.
Yeah, HOI3 is better.
Yeah.
It's gamey.
Converted to HOI3.
I'd have been down for that, actually.
I don't know.
So-
Is there a Vic 2 HOI3 converter?
There probably is. I don't know.
MC would have to make a whole new rule set.
So, who shall we go to? Dread. Was that your first ever multiplayer campaign that went on to become the Bavaria series?
That was my first real game. I had done Hamachi games in the past, but nothing actually organized and rostered.
Yeah, and everyone knows that you did very well for that. You did very well for your first ever proper organized campaign.
Yeah, thank you. I have to give compliments to my allies though. I did get carried for a lot of those wars.
That's the thing. A lot of Victoria 2 players are perfectly willing to help new players, give them advice, as long as those new players are willing to listen and actually obey the advice. And the real difference is people who are willing to and not willing to. A lot of new players have come in with a bad attitude and not really listened to advice or been humble towards experienced players. But the new players that come in and do actually listen do perfectly well.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely had a ton of help with the war advice and helping with the micro. The only thing I think I'd really pat myself on the back for is I think I did good Diplo. I was in a lot of people's DMs. I feel like I kind of was the main thing that got the whole Spanish-Italian alliance together to go invade England. We did a lot of planning and a lot of discussing.
Yeah. And neighbor?
Yeah, what's up?
How you doing?
Good, bro. Now I'm on a Vic 2 break, but I'm chilling.
Well, here you are to talk about Vic 2.
you know, I can't. It's like an addiction. I can't get away from it. But
That's true.
What do you remember Dempsey talking about with the HOI4 thing? How much progress was made on that?
honestly, I don't remember that much. I think there was more ideas than there was actual implementation. He had some modder that was going to work on it, but some of the ideas, it was going to be Albions were under Germany. It was going to be, that was a big unified block. And DM reconquering the Isles or something like that. That was going to be the focus tree that started the war. But there wasn't much thought actually. Like much actually put down into the mod.
Yeah, it depends if they actually want to make it something serious that will be balanced, or if it's just going to be something as a throwaway meme, one session for fun.
Back then it seemed like it was just a one session throwaway meme thing. Making it balanced would take lots of playtesting, I think.
Yeah.
It seemed like Dempsey was pretty into it, though. I put some pictures in there of his mock-up focus trees he was making.
Do you have the Albions one? I remember
there being like
I think I have the one he made a mock-up for Germany, and he made me a mock-up. And then I also made one.
I remember
just
there
got
being
one of those
like
on screen.
serious.
He was gonna make
talk
like a whole thing for like
trying
a
to-
reclamation
trying
war
to
of
get it
England and all
done,
kinds of
like
stuff.
a week or two for a session.
I kind
right
of
after the campaign.
prefer the Kurdistan idea for being the war start. I don't know.
My God, it's lizard.
It's kind of difficult to like take Vic 2 Diplo and then sort of transform it into one big like HOI war.
What are we talking about?
The HOI conversion, Lizard. Hello.
Oh, the HOI conversion. That's like the ultimate cope at the end of a campaign that didn't go well. Like, hey guys, it'll be
Yes.
good if we convert it to a whole other video game, man. So.
Well, I think it was just because like the campaign went on for so long that people were like making a joke about, oh, we made it to 1933. What if we just convert, like, extend it even more?
I know, but that, I mean, they made it for real. Like they at least put like a few. I know they got like a couple focus trees in or something, and then they just gave up.
I think what it is as well is the lack of that final game-shattering world war, and that's what HOI4 does. You have one world war.
Yeah.
And there was,
I mean-
of course, there was that war, the one that I just showed on my stream in 1931 and 1933, and I didn't put that in my videos because I don't think it was a good war.
I mean,
And,
to me, it almost seemed more like an excuse to just paint the map because when you win a world war so overwhelmingly that like, and then they didn't get a peace deal, and they're like, no, we need our peace deal, so we're gonna go to HOI4 and paint the map and give ourselves like 500 war score worth. Like that's what it seemed like to me as well.
Victoria 2 does good Victorian line warfare, but I think it just gets kind of muddy and just like spammy in the end.
I'm also getting this Joe.
Well, it's just the issue of organizing all the fucking stacks.
I mean, at
Like,
the end of the
like,
game,
the
the wars
biggest
can be
problem
fun,
for
but they do have to be balanced, and we didn't. There weren't really any balanced wars like at the end game there.
Also, I think that late
Yeah.
game, there's like no economic real consequences to war anymore. It's kind of
everyone's rich.
You don't have to think about that anymore. That's a big.
No, it
part of
depends on the
game.
mod and if you're getting occupied or something.
I don't know. I kind of disagree because there was a big thing about a lack of rubber and oil in this mod for some people. Like I know for me and for others too.
Yeah,
like,
but
not so
lots
much
of those
the money,
things are
but
so
the
easy to
fucking
fix.
resources.
I think it's more
I
of a skill
guess.
issue. I probably.
I mean, I don't know. I had to like really like figure out how the fuck to solve my rubber issue. There's
I guess
just
that's true.
fearing this entire didn't really work for some reason.
Another problem that people had was the lack of oil going around in the world, because as I mentioned,
Yeah.
New Santara's existence just takes that away from European powers that would normally have it.
Yeah, I think that was a terrible addition to the mod.
Now, I want to ask, what did everyone think about that final Great War, the one in session 11, that I didn't put into any of my videos? What do you remember of that? Someone, go ahead.
mean, I just remember it being really bad and stacked. Like I was actually talking to Weevil in VC about it, and he was like, "Yeah, man, that was epic. It was like HOI4," and I was like, "Dude, you and I have like very different memories of this because I remember that just being like the most unfun Great War ever. Like there was like no chance of victory. Like the naval, like if it's one thing if like the land is stacked, but there's like naval competitive or like the other way around. But like that was both stacked like naval and land.
That's
You know they
exactly
wanted to
what I
turn
thought.
me that war. They were trying to turn me against you, Spud. I remember that. Both actually great wars, but I don't know. That front just
that would have been terrible.
Well, I think the main
Doesn't
problem
make
with
sense,
that
I
war,
think.
the main problem with the war was just China and India doing the same thing again, allying together, and that completely stacked it on land.
To be honest, I don't really remember the details of that war that well, like what led up to it, all the Diplo and all that. I just remember from my own experience, the Great War that he did show, I really didn't like that because, like, it was just the impact from me not having an army of tanks and planes, like that really was apparent with like the amount of losses that
I mean,
was
even
taken
with
in that
that, you
war.
guys had like 400 more brigades than me. Like I was amazed you didn't just break me in the Balkans. Like I mean, like tanks and airplanes aside, like.
I mean,
I
again, I
should have
don't
been
really
dead there. I
remember the
should have been dead
details.
there.
I just remember the mindset I got. Like leaving that war, I was just really disappointed with that war because I was hyped for it at the start, and then I felt like I just couldn't win because my army wasn't like modernized enough. And so going into
Yeah,
the
your
second
unit comp
war,
was
like
just wrong.
I was pretty excited for the second war because I felt like this was gonna be like the actual like real me versus Germany war. Because now I've got an army on par with him, and now it's gonna be like a real thing. But I guess it didn't really turn out that way because of this how stacked
Yeah,
the
the
sides
beginning
were.
was pretty hype. Spain isn't here, but we were pretty excited to try and invade Wales. We thought if we went in with like a massive 500,000 man landing out of nowhere, we'd get a foothold and be able to kick him out of the war early, but that didn't work out.
Well, that was the bloody problem because you went in. No, I don't know. What did you think? Did you think that you had naval dominance? Did you know the enemies had a gigantic navy that outnumbered us 3-1 coming in to wipe
I think the
ships?
concept was that we were just going to try and before their navy got over in force. I don't think. Well, I mean, we got over there, so obviously it wasn't blockading us the whole time. But I think we just wanted to rush over and just try and get a knockout blow that he wouldn't expect because he probably. I think we were thinking he would be like, "Oh, I'm safe. You know, we've got such a huge naval advantage," and he wouldn't expect a landing.
You never do naval landings without naval dominance unless it's like an early game.
Yeah, because eventually, even if you do succeed the landing, like eventually they'll come back with their naval
Like a
dominance and
realistic
you
sea
can't really
lion result.
do anything. I guess.
I can't remember if I was trying to get you to not do that in the VC. I didn't look at the footage of it. But if you gave me that plan on my desk, I would have vetoed it.
The dinosaurs and the French general staff were just jingoistic. They wanted their land back.
So, yeah, that war was not good. I think the other side, I think what Weevil was talking about, they liked it because they got to do some fun naval landings. They invaded France at the end. They got to do a D-Day. So I guess they were having fun, and that's why they have a fond memory of it, but it was not a good war.
Yeah, I mean, it's always more fun to be winning than losing typically. But I mean, even on their side, it seemed too stacked to be fun. Like if I was on that side, I wouldn't have enjoyed it. But I don't know, different strokes for different folks,
Yeah.
I guess.
I guess some of the problem is just lots of modders just don't know how to balance Asia.
I mean, it's like you can call it a mod
Yeah.
issue, but it's also like a failing on Victoria 2's part because there's no simulating like how actually bad China and India were in that time period. I mean, obviously India was a colony, but like China was like just a full on like non-functional state. Like there were battles where the British sent like 500 guys up the fucking Yellow River and they beat like 10,000 Chinese guys like without even losing anyone. Like it wasn't like they weren't even a country. It was just some fucking just like total retard mode. Like you can't.
Yeah, I agree.
Because in Vic 2, you're always gonna civilize, and you're always gonna become like basically a European power by like 1910, and that's just not realistic. Like China didn't become modern until like the fucking 80s, like at the very earliest.
I mean, yeah, like back then, China didn't really even like have like a big central army. It was just regional shit.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, I've seen it in HPM where like at the moment you civilize, you just fall apart into like a million warlords. Like I guess that's more realistic, but you still get civilized and you still get literacy, which is unrealistic. Like, you know.
Yeah, they stayed quite back where they didn't have big literacy, they didn't have big urbanization till later. It's just, and they kept splitting apart and fighting wars with warlords.
Yeah, I mean, they were pretty urbanized, but they just couldn't enforce like basic things in their own country, like the Boxer Rebellion. Just a bunch of like retards without guns just took over the fucking country. Like
now, how do you do that in Victoria too? So yeah, and the most simple way that people have done is the pop nerf. Just a brute pop nerf. Take a third of the pops away.
Really, you just shouldn't roster a China, and then you can have China rules, you can not have China rules, but like I saw in Shark's game, he's going to make it so you can't eat China until like 1905, so it adds something like interesting late game, which I thought sounds cool.
Well, I guess the idea in this game was just that like India would balance out China, I guess.
Oh yeah, have India and China. They'll definitely balance each other out and fight each other. Yeah.
I mean,
when you don't give them any
the
competing
game,
cores.
you know?
I mean,
yeah,
how many people died in the Taiping Rebellion? Like 20 to 30 million?
Yeah.
Something like that.
To think about.
I mean, it's like, there's like a very wide range on that. It's because there's like no reliable sources, but yeah.
This is.
But yeah, you're right about
in Vic 2, in DoD, and even other mods. It's always the endless question. It's easy in vanilla to just cancel out China by just having no one on the roster, but in DoD, when you do that, Japan sometimes unbalances things by being too strong.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe like a research point nerf or something.
The balance.
I mean, the
like
worst part is like China
China
can't even kill Japan can't even kill China under the Reign of Will set. Like it's outright impossible.
Actually,
like,
you know,
China,
ironically, no, go ahead.
I mean, I was just gonna say you basically need to chain war and like release countries to ever have a chance of killing China.
Yeah.
Either that, or you get them to rage quit like session 1, and then like the host doesn't put anyone else on it.
Yeah.
But if you have like a steady China player, or like the host keeps putting people on it, you can't kill China
you're right.
without like releasing nations and chain warring and doing all that shit.
Yeah, Lizard would know about that, infamously.
Yeah, maybe I would.
So
a war analyzer that Fourth Great War, fucking the Spanish like Central European Alliance, that was 1,400 ships.
We had that many?
Yeah, they lost almost 1,000 off the coast of Brittany. Wow.
But we don't.
So ironically, I think
in that war, it was a bad war. The other side, I don't think anyone from the other side of it is here to give the case. Weevil's not here. He's working or something, but I don't know.
No, I mean, I'm here, but I just don't remember it that well.
I'm surprised how few naval engagements there were in some of those other wars around England as well, like Scandinavia. Just no big naval battles.
Well, the one where you got Grand Columbia coming in, he didn't even bother contesting.
Yeah.
He didn't send it out. There were most of the Navy situations and wars throughout the campaign were so one-sided that the losing side didn't bother to send out our Navy to fight.
Well, it's also just because England was just so disappointing in that game. Like, he just
let's have half an hour. Let's
late.
shit on the England player for half an hour. Go.
No.
No. But we know.
I mean, was there even an England? Is there even an England player to shit on? Like, who was it? Like Gib Boomer, but he was like, he was like in and out of the game. I feel.
Well, what if he had successfully?
He was also a new player.
I mean, like the big thing was just
Normandy,
England forms and then nothing.
Because that's what they intended
I
to
feel
do,
like
but we beat them to the punch.
I mean, I can't even shit on the England player, but I will say, like Scandinavia doing that is basically just not taking the game seriously, because you should obviously like own all England yourself. It's not even. Yeah,
I think if he took England all for himself, like he would have had a bigger game.
Yeah, he would have been. He would have probably.
I don't think that necessarily.
Probably would have been smarter. I'm just gonna say, like, there's no reason.
I don't necessarily think
there's nothing stopping England from not
propping up a Bjorn as a bad. I don't think propping up Bjorn is bad because like he gets all that shit accepted, right? It's just like you got to look at who the player on Bjorn is.
Yeah. I mean, not upgrading the ports. I didn't bother with the Navy.
I mean, if
I was
it's
just
like your
playing too
meta
much
ally,
catch-up.
like you can do whatever. But I'm like, unless I was like specifically meta allying this guy, like I would just not.
I just don't think the DM
could
could be
be
honestly. Honestly, England not building ports and like just not building up in general is Scandy's skill issue because he should have been checking to save and
I
like.
mean, that's the thing. Like this
porting.
game, you should also be micromanaging your allies as much as yourself. Like especially if you know they're bad. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna. The Spain player wasn't bad, but he was pretty new. So I basically told that guy a lot of what to do in regards to Navy and stuff. And then I mean,
Also, Scandi leading armies all over the world, like whole stacks in Africa.
To be fair,
he was new or something.
if you have all of Africa, bro, that shit's so annoying to micro.
I wanted to say this though: if you get so the England player in this campaign didn't do too well. He had a lot of skill issues. But if you do get a really competent Bjornia and you want to support them, that could be a problem for Scandinavia, because if you get a really competent Bjornia in England who does really well and does independent Diplo, he'll end up trying to form the United Kingdom and kick Scandi out of
he
Scotland.
gets like millions of accepted pops on you. Like I assume, like if Scandi takes Ireland and Scotland, like you're losing both those regions to because they can form Great Britain and accept all
It's
that.
a massive risk, and
you know,
have to be really
actually,
trusting of the player to even contemplate it.
Actually, that's something I kind of want to see is not Scandi helping Bjornia form England, which is what usually happens, but actually DM going the France route and like getting a Bjornia England, and then they help Bucks. I think that could be
that would still be a
scenario.
cringe meta alliance because there's tons of ongoing.
That would be a cringe meta alliance, but I think it'd be
it would be a bit funny maybe. I mean DoD is like a meme mod, so you can kind of
Right, so the only way that could happen realistically without some pre-planned meta shit is if the dual monarchy is losing England to Scandi and he goes the France route, which actually happened. That's what Ben actually did there. And then the dual monarchy comes back and he goes, the dual monarchy comes back after having taken the French route. He goes, oh, I'm going to get England back. Since I'll never get accepted, I'll give it to Bjornia now. What about that?
I don't know, because like, doesn't the French route like unlock way earlier than like going both?
Yeah, 40 versus 70.
So yeah, if the DM just decides like, all right, I'm gonna full tilt into fucking Europe. I want to be an early powerhouse and like clear Europe the fuck out, and then at the same time you get an England that can like secure the entire Isles from the UK. Technically, you've got like basically all of the UK accepted as an ally on your side. So like, if the guy sticks to the meta alliance, that's pretty strong.
Yep.
Do you
Personally,
really
I think that early
as DM, you're giving up like some of your top pop states. You're giving up so much. I
wouldn't do that. Well, actually, no, I did consider that, doing it as DM, but that was because like originally the mod that the host posted was some meme mod where like DM gets Burgundian accepted. So like I was down for that in that mod, but then
if you wait till like 1880, you get both Anglois and French and everything accepted, right?
1870. It's even earlier.
1870. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, no. In like a regular DoD mod, I'd never do that.
He didn't upgrade his.
I've got too much pride as a DM player to do that.
There's no reason England couldn't make a navy, but personally, I think Ben made worse decisions. I mean,
I don't know why it
would
kept
you not get
happening
culture
in like
text?
in the Ooskoord games that DM kept dying, because realistically, like DM should win every war, and that'd be the #1 GP every game.
I mean,
like,
I was playing decades of catch up in literacy.
I mean, I know, but like that's because we put Captain Ben on it, and Captain Ben is maybe the biggest retard like who's ever played this game ever.
I don't know.
Great
like,
talking, that's all you get from
isn't Burgundy and Scandi stronger than DM Bohemia at the very start? So
it's close.
I think like if DM and Bohemia lose the first war, then it's like very hard for them to make a comeback until later. Like maybe Bohemia forms or DM gets accepted.
They have bad shape, like to fight with each other.
I think part 8 might have been the most.
Yeah, also
episode
that like the shape in for DM in France, if the DM loses and he loses.
I mean, the thing you have to remember is that like
really awful.
Like after the first war, Bohemia can eat all of the minor German stuff around him, and then he's got way better shape, and he can probably connect through Burgundy, because Burgundy is going to be eating all the German stuff too, and that means Burgundy has to fight a two front war. Like,
well, yeah, that's kind of my point.
Yeah,
is
that's
that like
something Burgundy
if the
wants,
DM,
though.
if the DM loses and he's put on the back foot,
there's something wrong with this VC in terms of like out of syncness, because people keep talking over each other.
Yeah, Virtual Rock is lagging, and he's been lagging since HTA.
Oh, spoilers!
Ooh.
Ah! No, it's fine. But maybe it is,
Yeah, I
but I don't
do.
know.
I don't know what's up with my
It's
internet,
kind
but
of
it's
like a
been
delay.
like.
Yeah. I'm trying not to cut people off. I'm like, what?
I mean, we do have like 6 people in here.
It's a
And it's
lot.
getting
All right,
heated
well
too.
let me check
It's
if I
getting
can
heated.
like.
Whip that
I might be
hamster.
Make
lagging a
it.
bit actually.
If we got Weevil in here, things would get heated.
I don't
You would
know.
have to come and make the case for having that great war in the series.
Yeah, but that's the
Well, I'd
thing
have
that's
to take
crazy
his
about.
side then.
I mean,
'Cause
I
that's
think
my
his
side.
case is just
Oh
that he
my
was
God.
salty at me because I was offering him a deal like, hey man, you get Japan, like you join our side, like we have actual fun great war. He's like, no, I'm still mad, no. That's
Maybe I'm
basically what he
lagging.
said.
This was 2 years
So.
ago, but it's still.
I know it's fresh in my memory. It's either that or I'm making it up.
I don't get how
I
the
can't
fuck
really
he
tell.
remembers all this shit. I remember none of it.
Well, it's significant for me because that's the thing that's actually pretty crazy about this game for me is that Spudgun got me into the Victoria 2 MP with his videos. First game I ever joined just randomly was Dempsey's game. I get rostered on Vinland, then I get rostered over on the DM ordering Spud. It was like a really crazy coincidence.
It was all planned.
Yeah, it was all planned. I'm a stalker. Yeah. I did everything I could.
Dude, I had played like 3 games. I also learned about Vic 2 even having fucking MP because of Spud. And then Loco doesn't show up, so I just get Bohemia.
Yeah.
I had played
Well,
a
I
couple
probably just
serious
don't
games
have a strong
before
connection
that.
to this game because I came in pretty late.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I came in on
I
this
remember
rush.
the
I think it was.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, this really is.
I came in on this rush, and I think this rush was like on the back foot for a long while, and then like things started going really well for me.
Oh yeah, you were like the 7th Russia player on this Russia. It was a crazy revolving door.
Yeah.
You are out of sync because your voice coming out of your voice doesn't actually add up with when your Discord microphone lights up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Type double OS in the chat, bro.
Oos. You're oosing.
Yeah, I mean
We
this
get
game was kind of
double OS
memorable
in the
because I
chat.
started as like one of the worst countries on the map easily, and I ended up as one of the strongest. I don't know if I was like the 3rd most or the 2nd best in Europe, but I just got. I had like crazy amounts of land.
You went through a lot. You got sieged down numerous times in the early game, including by this gentleman here, Chrono. Do you have any comments?
I'd do it again.
I mean, the only thing I remember is that like Chrono like torpedoed his country just to fuck with me, which is.
Dude,
I don't know. I might have killed his dog or something,
Kinda
and his
started.
dog was also his lover. So honestly, it might be.
Just want to point out as well, Spain absolutely did shift me and Chrono in that war against Germany. That was all Spain.
Chrono, I'm sorry for what I did to Fido. Okay.
Unfortunately, I became the fan favorite lizard. So, what do you have to say about that?
I don't know. I don't have much to say about that.
I think
people love an underdog, man. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry I kept winning.
An underdog?
No, Chrono was over the dog, I think.
Well, Lizard is the only person here named after an animal.
It's actually interesting because in this campaign we got both like Bjornia coming home and Batavia coming home.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Batavia was at.
Well, might be out of sync here, but Batavia did kind of come in at the end, only because the campaign was extended that long. But he did it. Burgundy. To be fair, Burgundy got killed by other people long before, and then he came in and swept up. But still, he was trying for the whole campaign to do that.
Yeah, I remember he messaged me like session 2, dude, to try to get that happening.
That would have been the first Batavia player, but yeah, there were 2. There's the early guy, Jam, and then Lamb was later. Jam and Lamb.
I respect. Wait, didn't this game like instead of doing a deal for the South African shit, he just like declared on him for it, or something? Yeah, I always thought that was funny.
No, it's pretty based.
I respect it. I mean, a lot of people they're just willing to suck penis and join the hug box, but he didn't. He was going crazy.
Yeah, it took him like 3 sessions to get that one Burgundian colony in South Africa and form Batavia.
Yeah.
Dude, that was so funny how he kept trying to just get it from me. I think after the one where I successfully argued for a chain war, he just came into my DMs the next session and was like, "Oh, come on, man, please just let me have it. I'll do anything." And then I think a new player came on after that, and Diplo went out the window. So, you know, a funny little side plot.
Well, neighbor, while you're here, do you have anything you want to say about your campaign and how it went? Were you quite new when you started that campaign?
Yeah, I had played I've subbed 2 other games and I'd played 2 actual campaigns. One of them was the South American shitter, so.
Yeah, well, I said it earlier, but to have that be one of your first games against, well, I'm a way more experienced player. We were allied initially, and then I went against you and we fought. But you did extremely well for how, just like Dread, for how new to the game you were.
Yeah, I think this roster, I think Dempsey was probably in a hard spot because Spudgun is like head like I don't mean to shit talk anyone, but he was head and shoulders above like both JFK and Chrono. Just by experience alone. And then I guess he tried to balance it out by putting like a bad player on DM like Captain Ben, but that ended up like double backfiring because like the DM was basically nation ruined for the rest of the campaign, like 40% literacy. So.
Well, the main thing was that he initially intended for Loco to be on Bohemia, as the famous day one issue goes.
I guess it is true. Loco and Bohemia would have been a very, very different game, I feel. Loco's just so aggressive.
His diplomacy is very
I'm gonna
aggressive.
bet the voice chats would have been a lot louder. Just a lot
Captain
louder.
Ben actually like regarded as a bad player? I don't know anything about him.
Wow, I can't speak for everyone else, but I regard him as maybe one of the worst players I've ever seen.
Just because of that performance, or because of other games?
I mean, I don't mean to go on like a tirade against this guy on a Spudgun live stream, but I mean, yeah, in my opinion, I've never seen him do well.
I just don't know how you don't do culture check.
Hours. Well, I don't like to shit talk people in general, but he has had some skill issues, I suppose, here and there. He's a nice guy, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I recognize the name, but I don't remember the guy at all.
I don't know.
But in the campaign where I was Venice, what is known as the Venice series, it was Loco on DM and Captain Ben on Burgundy, and Captain Ben kept absolutely smashing Loco and me in some wars. So you never know.
Yeah, but then Captain Ben had Scandy, who was more experienced during that game.
Yeah,
something like that, right?
Scandy. He had Dempsey on Scandy, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it was definitely Scandy that was pulling the strings in that game.
Mm-hmm. What about JFK with Scandy in this? I can't.
Some people can at least follow orders.
I don't know how experienced JFK was.
Now that you mentioned that campaign, I remember Captain Ben because I was begging his ass for a spear when I was on Ottomans for like the whole goddamn session. It literally materialized at the very end when I was already like
died very early on Ottomans.
1 foot in the fucking grave. Well, no, I could have. There was like the first war I was like I couldn't really fight that. Then there was a later war where I could finally build up, and that was more of a real war. But obviously, I still lost it and then died. Although, honestly, like in hindsight, it wasn't that bad dying there because the Incas game actually turned out to be really fun.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I mean, I will say I respect Dempsey for sticking to his guns and kicking Loco off for being late. Because Loco does this thing; he shows up like 5 minutes late to every game he's ever in. Like it's like 100% guaranteed he will be late. So like,
no, but he was an hour late for this game.
Was he an hour late? I thought it was. Oh, I don't know.
I thought it was like 10 minutes
with the Locophobia.
No, I didn't
think it was
an hour
that
late.
long.
Time zones.
I mean, I don't know.
Didn't Loco show up like an hour late for that one game because he thought it was being hosted an hour later?
Yeah, I think it might have been daylight savings.
Damn, I can't believe the locophobia extends even to this chat.
But the timing of it, which is in episode 1 of the critically acclaimed Bavaria series, is that he came in the VC pretty much right after Neighbor and I lost the first war, and he was like, "Bro, this guy on Bohemia, bro, let me on. He lost the war, bro." Which was.
No, I guess it was like an hour late then.
Yeah,
That's
never
pretty
even heard
funny.
Nah, man, I would be winning this, man. Would be winning.
I mean, maybe if
Yeah.
Loco stuck around, he could have taken over DM. Imagine that game.
Jesus.
I might have had to annex him, honestly.
I don't know. He lost 2
We
wars
have
in a row in the
no
Venice
more
series, right? As
locophobia,
DM.
dude. Everyone's so locophobic. I'm a locophile, man. Come on.
Is Loco in any games right now?
I am
I don't
in one
think
with
so.
him, and I'm
Yeah, he
actually
is.
I'm not spoiling anything, but I am very locophilic in the game I'm in right now, and we've just fought a very good
Wait,
war.
didn't you get full annex in that game?
Who knows? But what happened
I'm
after is
very
locophilic.
I'm the top locophobe of that game.
Yeah, there was an old Dempsey HTA game I did, just me and Dempsey and some other people months ago. And me and Loco were allied the entire time. He ended up forming Zacadia in that game, and I formed Germany, and we had a power couple the entire game.
Dude, I'm Dread, fuck you. That game
Fuck
made
you.
me hate
What?
Loco.
Neighbor
Yeah,
metagrudges me because of that shit.
to be honest, the Loco,
a
like
bad player
being
for
on the
metagrudging.
receiving end of the Loco Diplo in that game kind of sucked. I mean, I was only in Europe for one session and I died and then went to
Loco can be great to work
America.
with, or he can be bad. It's random.
No, the American Diplo in that game was great.
No, the European Diplo, that game was so bad.
Yeah, that's why I'm happy. Like I got exiled to America and then like I had a really fun America game. Well,
I just
to
got
be
my
honest,
ass whooped for
I had to
10
fight like
sessions straight.
I had to fight like 2 wars at the start where I was like it was super against me. Because for some fucking reason Rome sent stacks against me and then like all of South America united against me in the second war and it was just heavily like stacked in their favor with the numbers. But the wars were fun, like, and I mean, while I like glanced over at Europe in that game, and it was a mess.
Is anyone here going to be playing in the GoFundMe game?
Is that real? Is that an
Uh,
actual
The Shark
GoFundMe
game?
for
Absolutely
Shark?
not.
He raised
Honestly,
150 Canadian dollars, man.
I mean,
How many of those are
it depends on
sock
if I
puppets?
die, I guess. In the current game.
Well, that's starting this upcoming Sunday, and I'm still in another campaign. So unfortunately, I can't make
Yeah.
it. But I wish it the best. Hope they have a fun game.
Actually, yeah, I can't make it either for that.
That's messed up.
What mod is it?
I think it's just
All
vanilla.
stat. It's basically just vanilla.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be great. That's what Shark told me.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were a lot of people donated. I saw that Dempsey and Big Weevil donated to it, actually.
Oh,
I was
God.
surprised. I didn't expect to see those people donate. But,
Yeah, I'm sure it was totally them and not somebody using the
Mhm.
name.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know.
sure.
You can if you're making like a conspiracy theory out of it, but I don't know. That's just what I saw on the GoFundMe.
I'm sure that this person who came in to sub a campaign I was playing on Sunday wasn't a Will alt.
I don't know anything about that, honestly.
Oh yeah, that I don't know. I feel like that was a conspiracy theory because the guy did Diplo with me and it seemed legit.
No, mate.
No, I don't know. I talked with the guy. He was not, but I
Dempsey
don't know.
did
Maybe
not
you're
donate.
right. Maybe you're right.
Dempsey, if you're out there, you can come and join this VC and talk about HOI4. Because there might be a renewed interest in actually making that.
I'd be down to make it.
I'd help.
I don't know.
I would join as well.
I would play it, but I wouldn't donate to it.
Well, why would he donate to
Oh
it?
my god, we summoned him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hello,
Oh, there he
hello.
is.
I just got home from work. What's his face? David's asking for all my stuff, so I'll send it to him. You can play it right now on the version before By Blood Alone. I think that's No Step Back, or is that earlier? I don't know. It
All
does
this shit
work.
means nothing to me. I don't know what No Step Back is, or these crap DLCs. I don't know.
It's
But
an older DLC, and it does work.
Yeah, it seems like someone from watching my videos wants to actually take the HOI4 mod. I don't know if you're interested in continuing it, but if someone else does, they'll probably just build on what
I mean,
you've done.
I'd be down to help with it. But
Same.
I
I like it. But Dempsey, will
join.
strat 3s be allowed?
I don't know.
Well, you just
It's up to
lost
you.
me there because honestly, I don't like HOI4. And
Yeah, I know.
I mean, if
It's
we're gonna
all-
play, we should play
No
like
Forza
no rules,
5.
like anarchy mode. Like that would be the
No
the
space
funniest way
marines.
to do it.
No
I
sub threes,
will-
no strat threes.
I mean, it's honestly just going to be like a one-off like meme-ish kind of game.
There's two things about it, right? So there's two things that could happen. First of all, it seems like someone who's watched my campaign wants to make it into a HOI4 mod. So it'll be a mod that people might play outside of this. But then there's also the idea of us going back and returning to it to play it ourselves, the people who are in the campaign. So
I think you should make Albions the same color as Germany. And make it a puppet so the name doesn't look so ugly.
Well, I was actually looking over footage of us talking about this in one of the sessions 2 years ago, but we were talking about how the Albions should be a similar colour to Germany, but slightly off grey, a different colour, and it should be called something like Reichskommissariat Böhmen.
How about the general government?
Yeah, because they would be a
he's
puppet.
got like the same borders as the general government, except a bit to the north.
Big Weevil has also rejected allegations that he donated to the GoFundMe game, just like Dempsey. But curiously, he is not responding to the Fourth Great War allegations.
What can I say? I think Big Weevil is he's just a humble man. And he doesn't want to admit that he donated. So I think that's commendable, honestly.
Yeah, I think a HOI game would be fun though, because I don't think a lot of the people involved in it play it a lot, and I think those are the fun games because nobody knows the really OP metas and no one's try-harding.
There's going to be one or two people who do, and they're going to ruin it for everyone.
Yeah, I do have like 1,000 hours in it, but I'm not that good.
You virtual
1,000?
I'm looking at wait 1,000. I have 1,000 hours, but I'm not good at it.
1,000, please.
Me,
please
I'm not good at HOI.
It's mostly mods. I don't like where multi's going now.
Having 1,000 hours in it and not being good is actually a damning indictment.
Well, okay, but
I know
but
the game works, but I don't know the multi-meta.
It's like 1,000 hours in single player versus like multiplayer.
Yeah.
Like if you
because
haven't
multi's just boring. It's this League of Legends streamlined crap that they're doing now. Like, oh my god, you
like
get fighter two.
yeah,
HOI4
HOI4 fucking multiplayer is annoying because it's like you gotta know the fucking meta for your country.
There's no real strategy or Diplo. It's all about meeting deadlines. Get this focus and this tech by this date. It's boring.
Yeah.
Why do Kaiser rank stuff?
I mean, I hate to break it to you guys, but maybe the multiplayer isn't that good because HOI4 itself isn't that good.
True.
It's got problems. Yeah. Non-hist is the best.
HOI3.
No, TNO.
That's why I'm
There's
addicted
a
to
good
Victoria
mod.
2 now. So I've
You
played
know, it's just a visual novel.
I played a bunch of
Exactly.
E4, CK, everything. I think Victoria 2 multi, the Dempsey games, all that stuff is the best Paradox multi experience. Like, it requires the most planning, the most everything. It's the best. Anyone who hasn't done it should try it. I mean, my opinion on Victoria 2 completely changed. It used to be like one of my least favorite. I think it's probably the best now, actually.
No, I think the Vic 2 single player is really boring, but yeah, multiplayer is
Yeah,
the best.
Vic 2 single player is not it for me. But Vic 2 multiplayer is just
I kind of like
completely changed
single
my
player
opinion on the game.
LARPing.
It used to be single player when I first got the game, but then it gets boring after a while. But there are some mods that make it interesting.
EOD Fan Fork was really good, single player.
I couldn't
think
bear
I
a
just
single
like-
player sandbox.
the pop system in Vic 2 is just so good. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it actually feels like when you lose soldiers or like you're fucking losing shit for going to war. There's actual cost to that shit. It's not like EU4 or HOI4 with manpower.
Welcome back, Victoria 3 discussion panel.
Yes.
I saw them playing 8-man Victoria 3 games on Victorian Union. So if anyone wants to play in an 8-man Victoria 3 game, you check out Victoria Union.
Fair, yeah. Weevil also said another response about the Fourth Great War. He gets the argument for not having it in the series, but he did say that I should have at least mentioned it somewhere in the epilogue, which is kind of true, but I got to the end of making that video and I thought, okay, I still haven't mentioned it yet, even a brief mention, but I just can't be bothered. There's already so much stuff going on and so many things I have mentioned. It would just overcomplicate things.
It would kind of be a bit silly to have an epilogue and then an epilogue to the epilogue where you say, and by the way, we all got wrecked in this Great War and there was no peace deal, and then we made a meme about converting it to HOI4.
Yeah.
That would be a bit
stuff
disjointed.
That can be left for after, like we're doing now.
I'll be honest. I didn't even watch your video yet, but I did ask all the victors what they actually wanted in the peace deal, and I made the peace deal in my HOI4 conversion. So it is pieced out in HOI4 as it would have been in Vic 2.
See, guys, we won the war. We converted it to a different game and painted the map.
I gave David B the HOI4 conversion if he wants to keep working on it.
Yeah,
Do you know
I mean,
anyone
like I
else who
said,
wants to work on it?
if I would play it in the multiplayer game as Italy, but I'm very bad at HOI. I have maybe like 20 hours on it on a pirated copy because I hate Paradox. But I don't know. I'd play it.
Sure.
Well, I mean, like again, it'd be mostly just like a one-off sort of meme game if we got all the players back. So like, I don't think it'd be that serious.
Yeah,
where
I'd be
that's
down
sweaty.
to play it as a meme game, and I'd be down to kind of oversee it and promote it a little bit as a mod based on one of my series, if that was to be.
But I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be fun to play a game
French
based
sea
on that
lion.
mod.
But are you sure the HOI4 Reddit is going to appreciate known anti-Semite Spudgun promoting their mod?
Oh,
Well, compared to the HOI4 community, I mean, I think they'd hate me for being not anti-Semitic enough, even though I'm not at all, obviously.
Of course.
You don't play TNO every day. What the
He's
fuck is wrong
actually
with you?
0% anti-Semitic.
I'm 0%. But according to the memes, the HOI4 community and Vic 2 community is a very interesting contrast. There's a little bit of tiny crossover.
That's putting it lightly.
I mean, I think there's a lot of. There's a lot of similarities. I mean, there's a lot of. I see a lot of pink and blue and white flags on both communities. So.
Actually, I started getting to Vic 2 multiplayer from a HOI4 multiplayer group. So like I just got on a HOI4 multiplayer server, and then some people there were like, "Yo, we should play Vic multiplayer," and I was like, "Yeah, I want to play Vic because that seems more interesting." And then from there, I got into some other server. Then from there, like, Gotta Cheese recruited me to his server, and then, like, yeah.
The God of Cheese pipe.
You're telling me you're a God of Cheese victim?
Yeah. Gotta Cheese scouted me out. He was like, you got some interesting stats. I want you for my team. Oh, I can't. Like, it's been so long. I don't know if I can even remember his voice.
For me, I was really big into EU4, then HOI4, and
Yeah,
then I
me too,
saw
dude.
this
Me
one
and Dempsey
small.
played fucking.
Yeah,
We played
you were in one of my EU4
I-
campaigns in like 2016.
I never liked
What the
EU4.
fuck was that?
Dude, I
EU4
was
might be
playing
my
with
least
Dempsey
favorite.
when I was fucking 12 years old, dude.
I was looking through that recently. I saw your name. I was like, what the hell? That's
I was
old.
literally 12 during that game.
Then there was one day that I saw this one like Muscovy series by this small YouTuber named Spudgun, and that's what got me into Vic 2.
Yeah,
same for me.
I played a ton of like pirated single player Vic 2, and then I like bought it and I.
Did you do a
found
Vic
out about the
Revolutions
Must-Be
game?
Series.
I don't know.
and I
Before
was
I played Vic 2
this game's
multiplayer, I played
great.
a lot of CK2. That's how
that's
I got
good.
into it. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
CK2
CK
multiplayer. It's a big crapshoot, but it's fun.
Yeah, no, it would never work competitively. You just get assassinated out of the
I
game.
don't
I mean, I don't know.
I think there is-
Nusuino was telling me that he used to host competitive CK2 games, and I was like, are you like fucking with me? And he was like, no, man, you want to see my rule set? And I was like, holy shit.
The idea of
Like,
being able to like impregnate Loco's wife though would be
competitive.
hilarious.
I don't understand how a competitive CK2 game would work. It's so like
Just be
RNG
tainted,
based.
touching
I think
each other.
everyone had to start his account, and there were like a million rules to make sure you couldn't get too strong too fast or something.
That's
Yeah, no
I
tainted
don't
touch, assassination, doom spiraling.
I mean,
the most
some people
interesting CK
play
over and
Vic 2
over.
games with like 100 rules. I guess it's not that crazy that people
the
play
most-
CK2 games.
the most interesting like competitive CK2 concept I saw for a game was just like you have teams, and every team like plays like a merchant republic, like as different patrician families. Like
Yeah.
that's the most interesting competitive like CK2 configuration I've ever seen. But like just like a normal game, I don't see how that would work.
Honestly, if none of you have ever tried it, I would highly recommend Darkest Hour Hearts of Iron. I think that's the best one in my opinion, and it's the most similar to the older Paradox kind of Victoria stuff.
Darkest Hour is good. That's true.
The group that I first ever played Victoria 2 multiplayer with, or at least some people, were also really into HOI3 multiplayer. And I played it a couple of times with them, but I could never get into it as much as I tried. It's just so over the top, complicated and weird.
Yeah, that's
Hoi
kind
3
of
is weird.
like I don't know if I'd be able to get into HOI3 just because HOI4 streamlines a bunch of stuff.
Hoi 3 is just
Hoi
AIDS
3?
because you've got to do all the HQ core like organization, and you get shit lost and all
I'm
mixed
gonna
up
be
in the
honest,
wrong
dude.
army groups.
I do not even bother with like the HQ stuff. I just like select that all, move it to one province, and then just
Yeah.
use the armies
You have to
themselves.
manually do all that shit. It's
It's great.
Well, that's kind
it's
of
great, dude.
Then do it with Black Ice.
I have
At least-
not touched
Ooh,
Black Ice,
Black
and I
Ice
do
would
not
be
want to.
insane.
No, but Hoi 3 was like my first Paradox game. I have like 600-700 hours in it. Please send help.
Hoi 2.
You know,
and
it's a
Darkest
shame we
Hour
couldn't
are
get
most
an
similar.
EU3 game going
Victoria.
because EU3 is actually a lot better than EU4, but not many people are man enough for EU3.
Yeah.
I do agree with that, to be honest. Yep. I haven't played it for a very long time, but again, back in the day, whenever I got into Victoria 2 multiplayer, I also played EU3, and I was really into that. Played some multiplayer of it, but I don't think it's hard to get serious multiplayer going of that. It's even jankier and weirder
It's
than
because
Vic 2, I think.
yeah, it's not as good as Vic 2. I'll say that, but and you also, I mean, the one campaign I tried to that I was trying to join in it, it was being organized. They were hosting 3-hour campaigns twice a week, 3-hour sessions twice a week, because otherwise the game goes on for fucking like several years, like in real time, because the game is so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, here's hoping EU5 is actually good.
I've never done a competitive match in any EU. I've only played 4, but I don't think it would work. I mean, imagine if someone got pissed how bad they could nation ruin, really bankrupt themselves.
No, I've played
I
lots of
did play a couple of EU4 multiplayer games, and I fucking hated it.
Well, one
like,
Dude, I have like 1,000 hours in fucking EU4
like
competitive.
EU4 is already like my least favorite Paradox game, but the multiplayer, like the multiplayer forces you to learn the meta of the game, and I fucking hated it.
There's no real skill when it
it's
comes
just-
to warfare.
you
It's
just
just numbers, like discipline, morale.
Modifiers, that's it. All you need to do is
Yeah, I
just
know.
get the bigger
I know,
modifier
that's
and
what,
do it.
like I don't like the EU4 meta.
One thing in EU3 that I remember from our multiplayer games, and it's a crazy part of EU3, is in fighting wars, Scorched Earth.
Yeah, you scorched Earth.
Oh my god.
You have to scorch Earth the border every time a war starts.
It absolutely devastates your own province, but it means the enemy takes gigantic attrition if they move into it.
I mean, it's kind of realistic. Like, I mean, I don't see what's
You
wrong
can
with having a
scorch Earth in
mechanic like
EU4
that.
too.
I mean, that's like historically how
Yeah.
the Great Northern War was won.
You can do that in Hoi now because of the
They just
DLC.
fucking- I mean, the Russians, they just like massacred everyone in Ukraine and then they won the war. So,
Oh.
I mean, there's a lesson there somewhere.
But they did that when they were fighting someone else.
Yeah.
There's something I wanted to say, but now I forgot. Fuck.
Probably wasn't important then.
They massacre the Ukrainians to beat other people in wars, and when it comes to fighting the Ukrainians, they're not quite as good at it. But anyway.
Yeah. I actually have a bet that this war will be like decisively won by Russia by this winter. So I'm really hoping I can collect on
Let's-
that.
moving on, though. Moving
Jesus.
on. Moving on.
Some men will gamble on anything.
Well,
Well, anyways.
actually, maybe we can wrap the discussion up there. This was a very good campaign. If you actually look at a campaign success, and you know, speaking of that Shark GoFundMe campaign, he's been posting a lot of old campaigns, and it's nice to look at some of the ones I was in. But he seems to be, if you use when a campaign ends in terms of a year as a mark of success, this campaign technically ended in 1932.
I don't think he is. I think he's using the Great War casualties. And like, I mean, I don't know what the casualties are in this Great War, but they can't be that high because it was over so fucking quick.
Oh,
So.
not that. It was like 14 million, I think. Jed mentioned.
Yeah,
it was not a good war.
I think like
the war analyzer
Great,
open. Which one
I
do you
think
want?
Great War quality is a better indicator of a campaign, but it it is interesting how long this campaign went on for, because usually you don't. Can't remember off the top of my head any other campaign that went to the 1930s.
I will say, if
Yeah.
anyone's interested in playing in the GoFundMe game, you should donate. You should look up high quality Victoria 2 game on GoFundMe. You should donate. You can watch the spot.
That's a tongue-in-cheek comment, though. It's already reached its goal. What I will say, though, is while you're still here, I said this earlier, the wars in the mid-game, or the mid to late game in that campaign, were actually the best ones, with Italy, Burgundy, and Danubians versus like 5 countries, followed up by the crazy Asian war, the Burgundy moving across Germany. Well, it's parts 14 and 15 and 17 and 18 in my series. Those were actually the peak wars of the campaign.
No, the one where I got my army wipes. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were fun wars. Yeah, those were.
I don't know if the other players agree.
I mean, the one where we blew out like PLC Russia, like at like all those Albians and Ottomans, that was fun. I remember that.
I kind of came in.
I remember cooperating with the fucking Asian was the worst thing ever. Like, I could not even stand being in those VCs.
The Asian Diplo was ass. I was so happy that I didn't hit Lake. Because like for a long while there, it looked like the Asians were just gonna straight up like murder me, and I was so happy I was able to just beat them, with obviously people backing me.
Oh well then. So there you go.
Great discussion, everybody.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Good stuff. Nice. See you in future campaigns, hopefully.
Yes, indeed.
I'd like to give a shout out though to Dempsey and the host. They're the real heroes. They give their time and their energy.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to myself because I'm incredibly handsome and successful. And yeah, you should donate to the GoFundMe game.
Oh come on! You had to throw that one in again. Jesus.
Lizard moment.
You had us going with the shouting out to yourself. I mean, that's fine.
You're welcome.
Anyway.
Yeah, fun game.
Right, peace. It was
glad
a
I got
good
to be a
game.
part of it.
Yeah, see you guys.
Looking forward to the
Yeah,
future
thank you all
games.
for playing.
And, yeah, shout out to the hosts. They're the real heroes. But yeah, peace. Have a good stream.
Yeah.
Bye.
Well, I'm ending it. But yeah, cheers, guys. Nice talking to you.
Yeah, you're just kicking us all out now, huh?
I'm not. I'm letting people make their own way out.
Oh, well then I'm staying forever.
Based.
Well, so yeah. And then there were 3.
I mean, what is there left to talk about?
Nothing. That's why I'm ending the stream.
Oh.
Well, I mean, hopefully the fucking HOI4 game actually happens, but
that would be
we'll
super
see,
fun.
Well, I was wondering. I actually do have this to talk about, which is after the end of the actual Bavaria campaign, I was thinking, well, maybe it'll happen soon, but then it never did happen, and it's been 2 years.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, if it actually like happens, but we'll see.
It'll probably happen now that there's a big community interest in it from my series, but it didn't happen kind of organically after the actual campaign from its own players.
Yeah, that honestly probably would have been the best time for it to happen, but whatever.
Yeah, Dempsey was making like a big push to have the mod done, and the session happened in like a week or 2, didn't he?
Yeah. Maybe he set up the scope too much because he tried to get.
I think it was just the guys he had like helping him work on it, like just got busy was the issue.
I mean, I don't know anything about HOI4 modding, but having a whole mod like that, even a simple one done in just 2 weeks, does not sound realistic in the slightest.
Well, I don't know, because I think it's for focus trees at least. I guess you would need to test it a lot, but I think it's just a lot of just text file editing.
Oh, Vic2 modders are used to that. Honestly, it's probably more fun to edit focus trees than Vic2 modding. You're actually just writing stuff, being a little bit creative, whereas Vic2 modding, oh, I put 3,000 pops here, change this political party in 5 different text files so they're all the same.
Yeah.
But anyway, see you both later.
Unless you're Gawk and you add like crazy straights everywhere, I guess that's fun.
God of cheese, indeed. Turn officers into creatable units.
Add meme rivers, split DM, all that.
He was a visionary, let's be fair to him.
Yeah. Like he did stuff with Vic2 modding that I haven't seen anyone else try. Maybe for a good reason.
Yeah, mad scientist type of person. You know, someone should have said to him, just because you could doesn't mean you should. As that wise man, what's his name from Jurassic Park? What's the guy's name?
I still
don't even remember.
really like fondly remember the Meme River game though. I don't know if anybody else does, but that game was fun.
Yeah, kind of. what were you in that game if you were there?
I was England in that game.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. You had a big role in the campaign. Like
Yeah.
you were in the heart of the arguments and all the shit going on.
Oh yeah, that was. Oof.
Dr. Malcolm is the character, Jeff Goldblum is the actor.
Yeah.
Like there was 3 different things that were broken in the mod. First, like big mod changes. Like there was the Meme River, the split DM, and then there was also some like weird assimilation thing with like soldiers. That just made France like scale ridiculously.
Well, to go off on another tangent and extend this, the reason for that was, I guess, there was something to do with France and England being split. And then that made France just have French accepted, and there was a bunch of Anglois people in Paris that didn't have
Right.
core, and they all assimilated into soldiers.
Yeah, that's what happened. You're
That
right.
was the old bug when they split the DM. That happened maybe even in more than one campaign. That happened in a campaign where I was Bohemia in 2020, I think, but that's even more ancient than
Yeah, that was. I mean, the split DM thing was just the biggest thing in that game because it was like me and France just dominated that game, and then the Great War was just my block versus France's block.
Anyway, I
was
will
fun.
now have to call it.
Yeah.
It's over.
It's genuinely over. Say the line. Chrono, can you say it's genuinely over and then do a weird Joker laugh?
It's genuinely over. It's a shame. I was thinking we could like do viewer questions because we haven't really done any of that. But if you're hard ending the stream in like a minute or two, I get that.
Well, I suppose. But yeah, I've been going for 3 hours, so I will.
Alright.
All right. Bye
until
bye.
next
See
time,
you
everybody.
on Sunday,
Yeah, I'll see you on Sunday.
where I'm gonna suffer for 4 hours.
Because they
Gonna
keep.
be fun.
I guess one thing I can spoil is that hosts do keep putting me and Virtual Rook against each other on rosters constantly to
Oh
this day.
yeah, that's getting really tiring.
It's got to end. It's got to
Yeah.
end. And not Neighbor, but yeah, Neighbor. It was the Scandinavia game, your DM game, that one earlier this year.
Just meta ally.
But you can't, because it's actually genuinely cancerous to meta ally on the countries they put us on, and it would ruin.
I mean, we did
campaigns.
eventually ally in that DM game, but that was just
Yeah.
like at some point it does get annoying because I can't remember the last game where me and you cooperated honestly.
Oh well. Is it genuinely over now? Shall I genuinely say goodbye?
Yeah, we're kind of just sitting here.
Yeah. Bye bye everyone.
Yep. See y'all some other time. In a future campaign, hopefully. Future series, who knows. But yeah, bye.
Bye. And now, one more update on the poll, I suppose, and we'll call it. And so I'm ending very, very soon. If you do have any last minute super chats and memberships, join the channel membership today or gift members. And let's just have one last look at the polls. I'll just read it out because I'm not showing it. Best episode is still number 14 at 25%, followed by 11, followed by 22, followed by 18. Best thumbnail is still part 11, followed by part 4. No, followed by part 14, then part 4, then part 22, then part 13. The best imagery is the Joker Burgundy, followed by German tanks crushing the Albion Revolution, followed by the Arcadian Psycho, and then the ADF, North FC, and then the sinking of the Nouvelle Bruges. 2/3 of people think the Hispano-Japanese War spin-off is better than the Indian Conspiracy. We're about okay, the optional questions, we'll just leave that. We'll leave that. Oh, and as for what my next content is, well, I have said it already, but the next video is going to be the Canada Great War from that Canada campaign. Next series after that, genuinely, actually, I'm not sure exactly what my next series is going to be. I've got 2 options. right? There's two options. And let's just say that the two options are to go east or west. Most likely I'm going to pick the east option for the next video after the Canada Great War. And the Canada Great War should be a week on Friday, so it'll be 2 weeks after the grand finale of Bavaria. 2-week schedule might stay consistent. So I'm going to get this Canada Great War done by then anyway, 2 weeks after grand finale. Are we ever going to get an American Council vid? That is still on a very, very, very far back burner. It's something I'm kind of interested in bringing back to the forefront. It might come someday, but it's not actively being done right now. Could have 2 or 3 more. I don't know if I can do another Bavaria recap stream. It's just going to be something that I can talk about now and again on my other streams when people ask about it. Just another thing. I don't think it needs another dedicated stream because I don't know if it's an algorithm, because I've been doing some variety streams lately that haven't gotten too many views, but this one didn't get up very high. We only had like a maximum of peak viewer count. I can't really see what that was. It was like peak viewer count was about 200. So, and Swacko, you're asking about the EU5 video. Honestly, I have thoughts on EU5 and I've sort of I've put together some vague plans on a video about it, but I've just never gotten around to it. Editing the Bavaria series took all my attention lately, and on the back of the Bavaria series, I'm very quickly going into editing this Canada Great War, which is going to be another long video, so. And I'm just not inspired to make the EU5 video for now, so I'm just leaving that for the time being. And thank you everyone so much for your viewership throughout the Bavaria series, as I've said already, and thank you for your engagement on this stream and all the kind words. And thank you to those players in the campaign who went and came on and talked and all that. And maybe you'll see more stuff about that HOI4 thing though. That might come back again. So if we're going to see anything from the Bavaria series in the future, there may be a HOI4 mod coming out of it. We've got a guy called David who seems to be interested in taking it forward based on the past stuff that Dempsey made. So look out for that. We'll see if that comes to anything. I will help facilitate it. Obviously I'm not really that interested in HOI4 myself, but if someone wants to do this, I'm happy for them. And I'll help them in what way I can. So yeah, we'll call it. And my next stream is going to be the Crusader Kings 3 Game of Thrones mod part 2 on Thursday, because that was really fun. We're playing as Willem Brexit Geezer, although he died and his son has taken over, Edgar. Looking forward to that on Thursday. Yeah. Some people on my channel like HOI4, some people always request it. I'm not saying it's going to be a video or anything, I don't know. But yeah. Thank you everyone. Good times. See you later everyone, and remember, you've got the save of the campaign 1929 in the description, you've got the soundtrack playlist in the description, and keep voting in the Bavaria Awards for the next while. Bye everyone.